that
This
part.
conference will
Okay.
now be recorded.
Okay, that's brilliant. It's recording now.
Yeah, even though it's recording, from next class onwards, you record with your own software. Okay, because here what happens is within this class, in between, if you're doing some other activities, all of that stuff also gets recorded. It doesn't looks good if you go back it. So instead, if you have your own software, uh, some kind of recording software, you can do that later point. Okay, I'll talk to you on that later point. Let's jump into the course. I think it's too late already. 5 more minutes, it's over. So for the people who are joined here, I think Kumar or some other people, myself, Patty, uh, I'm gonna take you all today with Microsoft Endpoint Manager with respect to the Intune course. So before we jump into this course, just wanted to tell you it's not a single product. Okay, it's actually a merged with a different products, and we call in a different names this product. So let's say if I want to call this product, I can call as MEM sometime. That is stands for Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Sometimes we also call as a MEM or MEM. And also within this MEM, you have a different products, especially the config MGR, which is earlier one. Now we call it this as the SCCM. Okay, so the product was recorded to, give me a second. So we make this product actually a part of different products. So out of that, I'm going to take you here. The first product I can say within the Microsoft Endpoint Manager, you have something called Microsoft Intune, and also earlier we used to call SCCM. Now this product is merged with Microsoft Endpoint Manager family. We call this as config MGR. Okay, and also we have a co-management is another technology which also talks about the other options. Let's say you want to manage SCCM, the device, the same device can be managed from Intune as well as from SCCM. In that situation, we make this as the uh, product. Okay, so co-management is used basically to manage your devices with both the devices. It's like a bridge. We're going to talk on that in few more minutes. Okay, with the demos. Okay. Also, there's another product called Desktop Analytics. This is also a complete cloud-based product, which is also part of Endpoint Manager now. And basically, this is used for to manage your devices to up to date with the latest Windows 10 builds. Let's say you might be running with a 1909 build at this point of time, and Microsoft already released 20H2 and also 21H also they're going to release. So in that situation, if you want to migrate Windows 10 build to another build, because these days, if you know it earlier, like we used to have Windows 7 and 10, all of that, different altogether version, but from Windows 10, it's operating system as a service. So they are releasing only the build changes. So how do we keep on tracking the build versions to a streamed level? If you don't do that, what happens is your applications may not work properly. And also, if you are working maybe with a version called maybe X version of your application, tomorrow if you move to next version, that Windows 10 build might not support also. So you need to have a proper proven tested method that can actually test those applications properly. So that's where the desktop analytic would be used. So earlier we used to call this as the Windows error reporting kind of thing. A later point it is April, if I'm correct, month of Jan or Jan 2021, I think this product has been, merged to Desktop Analytics family. fully offered as the cloud-based, and this also can be integrated with SCCM or your config MGR. Okay, I'm going to also teach you Windows Autopilot. So most of people think that it's part of Intune. Yes, it's part of Intune, but Autopilot is a technology. Okay, it's a complete new technology that's part of Windows 10, not from Intune. Okay, it's part of Windows 10, meaning if you can understand that Windows 10 technology, you can integrate with other products also. Okay, so I'm going to talk on Windows Autopilot also within this course, and also coming back to the Azure Active Directory. We're going to talk because that's a base. That's the first thing we are going to learn. On top of that, we're going to learn the Intune. Okay, so this entire things to manage, you need to have a central console that's called Endpoint Manager Admin Center. Okay, so that's a console. We're gonna have a look on it. So let me take it to the portal to show you as a uh, demo kind of thing, just understand what we are going to learn. So this is the admin center portal. Within this portal, uh, we can manage the devices from here. It can be iOS or maybe Mac or Android or Windows devices, if you see, based on the platform that you can see, and all devices from here. And if you see here, the managed by co-managed or Intune or config MGR. So we talked earlier a little bit on very little bit on some of the devices can be managed or co-managed. So just to give you an idea here a little further, co-management is like a bridge, meaning you have a bridge where your devices are in between. Let's say I want to draw here and show you. Let's say 1 second. Yeah. So you have here a device, maybe a Windows 10 devices, or maybe these are, maybe a couple of devices. So you have here in the left side as Intune, okay, and sometimes in the right side for you, maybe in a SCCM, or you call it as a config MGR these days, right? So it as I said, it's a bridge, meaning these devices can be managed some of the settings from Intune, some of the settings from SCCM, meaning you can actually take the advantage of both the products. Okay, even though you have the integration, so the integration called co-management. Okay, so you have to do something to do the co-management so that you can actually deploy here some applications or some kind of compliance policies or conditional access from Active Directory, all of that stuff from Intune, and maybe for the operating system deployment or maybe some of the applications deployment can be done from SCCM. So it's a bridge. So that path you can stick for some days. Later point, you can either jump to purely to the Intune or purely to the SCCM. You can do it. But if you ask me, ultimate path for the next 4-5 years, Microsoft is planning to move everything to the Intune. So it's a good time to learn so that you will be learning early all that technology. And these days, we can say at least a certain extent, Microsoft Intune is fully matured. So in the past, it was not, but after adding the Windows Autopilot and desktop analytic and co-management capabilities, at certain extent, it is fully managed and certain extent, it is fully matured this product. Okay.
Sorry, Paddy.
And yeah,
Uh, the co-management, where is that actually set up? Is that set up within Intune or is it set up within SCCM?
yeah, as I said, we have to work on Azure Active Directory to do this
Okay.
co-management as well as on SCCM and some configurations also to done from Intune side. Okay,
Okay.
so meaning meaning here, I'm not just teaching you Microsoft Intune within this course. I must have to teach you here also the other technologies, especially here the SCCM. Okay, I'm going to teach you here SCCM a bit with whatever it is relevant for the co-management. Okay, so this is what we're going to learn within this course. Okay, and if you ask what are the features, I'm gonna talk in the next slide. So within this upcoming slide, we are gonna have a look on what Intune can do. What are the product features? What other features that SCCM can do, or some other products that we talked. Let's say we talked about a bit on desktop analytics, Windows Autopilot. So all of that we're going to talk in detail. What other products can do it? So that's where this slide will come into the picture for me. Okay. And so far, any questions? Anybody? Either Kumar or Satish or Vinay, Rajesh or Sunil, Srikant?
Nobody.
No, right? Okay, good. So Srikant, you have any question?
Yeah, Paddy, I was little bit joined delayed. Is anything I'm missing earlier?
Uh,
Just briefly.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so I was actually recapped everything another way. And also I'm gonna recap the same thing within this slide. So what I was trying to
Yeah.
explain here is uh, the product called Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Okay, so this is
Mhm.
from 2019, if I'm correct, September or somewhere. The product has been rebranded. Okay, so what happens is within this you have a different products altogether. Like within this umbrella of this product, Microsoft Endpoint Manager, you basically have here Intune, Config MGR, also co-management and desktop analytics, Windows Autopilot, Azure Active Directory also. You need to learn a little bit, and also all of this stuff can be managed from a single console called Endpoint Manager Admin Center. So I'm going to explain all of these products, what they can do, and so that you will get an idea what Microsoft Endpoint Manager can do it for you. Okay, and post to that we will deep dive into Intune. So I also talked about a little bit on a co-management. Co-management, it's like a bridge for you where you can jump to left side or right side because you'll be in front of the bridge. Like if you wanna use some of the features directly from Intune, you can use for that device. Or you wanna join and use some of the features from SCCM, you can use that specific features. Meaning, in other way, if that device want to use purely cloud-based features from Microsoft Intune, you can do that. Or you want to take the advantage of on-premises SCCM, you can take the advantage of and can be managed from SCCM. So that's called co-management. So I want to show you if you missed out maybe a bit here. This is a console. This is how it looks like for you. You can see here managed by the devices. It's just the SCCM here. That's a config we call. And this device, like INHYD PC01, is co-managed, meaning the same device will have can be managed from SCCM and also from Intune. So from the Intune, you can push the things like applications, configuration policies, all of that stuff. Also, from SCCM also you can do all of that stuff. Let's say operating system deployment, you can do that on that machine. Nobody stops. Okay, so if you see here, the devices are showing here managed by Intune, meaning these devices purely managed from Intune, not from SCCM or not from as a co-managed. Okay, you have an option to convert from Intune to co-management. So meaning one or other day you need to actually convert your you have maybe on premises, then you would end up converting the devices to co-management. This is the highly demanding skill as in date. And if you know, just Google for job post, all of that stuff, most of the people are looking for the co-management because they just wanted to manage this pandemic situation. Co-management has the it is addressing all the IT challenges. That's where Intune picked up, and they also started co-management. I'm going to teach you this co-management. So to learn the co-management, I must have to teach you the Azure Active Directory, also on a part of SCCM, because as I said earlier, the device is also managed from SCCM, right? So I have to teach you that SCCM also. So part of configuration, whatever we need to do it, I can teach you. Okay, and also I told that Windows Autopilot is a technology, it's not a product. It's not part of Intune, but in Intune they are offering this technology. So you can use the Windows Autopilot technology within Microsoft Intune to build the machines. So I'm going to talk all of that stuff. What exactly Autopilot, what is Intune, what is that, all that 5 different technologies. Okay, that's where this product is. That's where this slide I'm going to talk. Okay, so also Srikanth, consider this is not a demo or not a marketing slide. This is real class. Okay,
Okay.
so if you have not captured as of now anything, that's fine for me, honestly, with everyone, because now it's actually starting the class 10:21, I would say. Okay, so the thing is, Microsoft Endpoint Manager has different products. As I said earlier, 5 products. The first product we can talk about Microsoft Intune. Other one is Config MGR and also Desktop Analytics and Co-Management and Windows Autopilot. So we're going to learn all these 5. Um, and out of that, Config MGR, whatever it is relevant, we are going to learn. We're not going to uh, go installation configuration of SCCM client, all of that stuff, because that itself a huge subject, Config MGR. Okay, I can take a separate sessions on a config MGR if you're really interested. But for now, whatever it is relevant with a combination of Intune, I'm going to take it. And these concepts are high-end concepts. So if you're looking for a basic configuration, basic learning, come back to me on SCCM training. So let me talk about what is Intune. So Microsoft Intune is 100% a cloud-based device management solution. So when I say device management, you can manage your mobile devices. It can be Android or iOS or Mac or Windows devices, purely cloud-based. Okay, and meaning you can push the application settings, or applications can be pushed, and you can manage. You can like do wipe or reset, reprovision, or your company can buy the devices in a bulk, and you can provision those devices uh, and facilitate for your end users so that they can use it. Let's say the user lost the device, you can fully wipe the device and you can manage that device remotely also. And with this Intune, I would put it in another way. This statement might not be correct, but for certain extent, this is correct. Like today, system administrators, whatever they are performing, all that activities can be done from Microsoft Intune. Uh, Meaning the sysadmin job is slowly moving to a single console called Microsoft Intune. Okay, so earlier we used to have an Intune portal, which is part of Microsoft Azure services, but this product has been rebranded with Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and they also offer a separate console, which I have already shown to you. Okay, so within this course, if time allows today, we are going to enrollment process, all of that stuff also we will be doing because it's a real class. Okay, so you can do within this Microsoft Intune, as I said, Android devices like enterprise operating system. There is something called Android device administrator and also Android enterprise. So I assume that few, at least 90% of you whoever joined may not know this fact that you might have already Android operating system phone, but that has a different versions, different management capabilities, we would say. So the management capabilities, one is Android DA, we call it. Other one would be the enterprise. Okay, so Google focus on enterprise operating system. That's the future, and that's where even the Microsoft also pushing, because Google is pushing into that direction. I'm going to talk on that when we jump into Android section. Okay, and coming back to the group policies, yes, you can do the group policy settings also. You can manage with a different kind of ADMX files, templates, all of that stuff. You can push the Win32 applications. When I say Win32, the native applications. When I say native, maybe a .exe files or .msi or APPX format or Windows Store based or Apple Store or Android Store applications, your company might be acquired and you want to push it, you can do that with the Microsoft Intune. And you can do a lot with the Intune once we jump into the actual course. But for now, I can say, these are the things. And also for the compliance, there's a basic thing which is needed. When I say compliance, certain standards your company said. Let's say the device must be BitLocker enabled and antivirus should be there. So you can measure the compliance. So if the device is not met that compliance, like BitLocker or antivirus is not found or some specific application, which is monitoring application is not available, then you consider that device as a non-complaint, meaning you would be actually blocking to access your corporate network or access your mails or access your OneDrive configuration, SharePoint portal, or some other settings, so that the end user have to go back and he has to fix it, or he has to reach the help desk team uh, and get it done, that device to be compliant. Okay, so we can push that kind of compliance settings. So you can think about the powerful uh, device management options which are coming from Microsoft Intune. Okay, and I would say that's it. And also, just to tell you, as I said earlier, the device must have a BitLocker or some kind of antivirus. But can we push it that specific settings? Yes, you can do that settings automatically. Automatically, you can push it. Let's say BitLocker can be pushed in this case, or maybe in this case, maybe applications can be pushed, or antivirus can be pushed, or even your company's certificates. So most of the cases, some of the devices needs to have a certain root certificate or some kind of certificate, then only the device is trusted, right? Or maybe a Wi-Fi profiles can be pushed. So all of that can be done within Microsoft Intune. I hope I gave at least 30 to 40% of overview on Microsoft Intune. Now you know Microsoft Intune. If anybody doesn't know or doesn't understand, please raise your voice. You can ask me, or if you have any doubt on Microsoft Intune product understanding. Is Srikant or Vinay, one more Vinay also joined, and Sunil or anybody does not understand?
Yes, I get what you're saying. You see, when you said Android Enterprise and Android Device Management.
Yeah, I'll take you that. Actually, there is a
Okay, you got in
bigger
more
big
details. All
bigger
right.
area, that itself takes close to 40 minutes, and it takes uh, to explain to you, maybe it takes maybe 15 to 30 minutes. Later
Okay.
point to the deep dive, it takes 3 hours of uh, content, which is only dedicated on a Android enterprise. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that if you're really interested at this point of time. So I'll go you. So here you have this options like enterprise offering and D offering. I'm gonna take this when we jump into actual course.
Okay,
Okay,
brilliant.
okay.
Thank you.
And wherever it is really needed to understand the product, I made it in a simple way, the presentation. Okay, and most of this course is purely on a practical. Okay, the second product within this Microsoft Endpoint Manager is config MGR. So earlier we used to call as SCCM, because why we used to call as SCCM, can anybody tell? If they remember the name, we used to call as SCCM. So the CM stands here, config MGR. Okay,
System
here,
Center.
this is called System Center. So there's a family called System Center, which has the operations manager, that's just COM, and also orchestrator, DPM, a lot of other products, 6 to 7 different products. So now uh, this product config MGR is heartbroken with System Center System Center product family, and joined back to this product called Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Okay, So that's where we are actually learning everything on this product. Second, yeah. So SCCM, I hope if anybody is completely new to SCCM, you can speak up. If not, I'll give you in a high level. So SCCM today, it's a purely mature product. SCCM is a purely mature product, and Microsoft, what they're trying to do is they are trying to move the product to take it to Intune direction. That's where Microsoft recently announced a feature called Cloud Attach. So what happens is when you attach to a cloud, uh, all the devices get uploaded to from SCCM to Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. So you can manage directly from Intune portal or Endpoint Manager Admin Center portal in this case. Okay, that's a high level, but let's talk low level. So what exactly is CCM earlier? Now what it is config mgr, I already explained. So we used to call, now we have to call as EME, that is Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and CM, that's a MECM. Okay, we have to call as MECM, or we can call as CM, that's okay, or config mgr. So this is basically used for on-premises solution where you can manage your desktops and servers. I use a word called here servers. If you remember earlier, I never used here a server, meaning Intune is not going to support for server management, meaning Intune is not fully replacement for your SCCM at this point of time. And I have actually made a different slide on a pros and cons on SCCM and Intune, where unsupported features of Intune also I mentioned. There I'm going to talk. That's why I didn't talk about the server or the not supported feature. Okay, so you can manage with the SCCM desktops and servers with your flexibility in laptops. And over the internet also you can manage, and you also have something called cloud management gateway, which is almost replacement of your bit of Intune settings. Okay, cloud management gateway, but it's not 100% replacement, I would say, because other capabilities, powerful capabilities, which are only coming from Intune integration. Okay, and it's a cloud-based integration. You can do it with Intune, and then we call it as the co-management. When you integrate, you can make it as a co-management, and the config mgr also can do the ATP settings, and it can integrate with your Active Directory as well as your Azure Active Directory, and or you can do the software push, the software applications and software updates. Operating system deployment can be done with SCCM, and also you can measure some kind of compliance, and you can query, you can get the inventory reports, and CM pivot you can use so that you get the real-time data also. You get the extensive reports with the config mgr, not with Intune. Okay, and let's jump into the other product here. That's the co-management. So it's a technology, as I said, I have already extensively talked on this. It's like a bridge, so you can connect your devices. I mean, the same device can be managed with SCCM as well as with Intune. In other way, on this same device, you'll have two agents. So two agents. So one agent can be from SCCM, other agent from Intune. So whatever the things you want to push it, you can push from Intune. Whatever the things you want to push it from SCCM, you can push it to the same device. So single machine reports to two places, or can be managed from two places. Okay, so this is called a bridge kind of thing, and we talked about that, and um, we are gonna do on this later point. So meaning the course have structured in this way. So what I'll do is actually I'm gonna talk everything on a cloud based initially. Slowly I'll take it all the features within the cloud, then I'll jump into the SCCM. Okay, we do the integration with the co-manage or whatever it is needed for the co-management, and then we will have some of the devices here, and then we would actually attach cloud, attach co-management, all of that stuff. Then you can actually manage directly from the Intune portal. or the Endpoint Manager Admin Center portal, which I have already shown in the portal how it looks like. Even you can check the how it looks like from a manage all of that stuff, right? So other one would be the desktop analytics. Here, the desktop analytics is the new thing. Here, it's a purely cloud-based solution again. So what it does is it actually gives you a clear idea on what applications are compatible for your latest builds or might go wrong. Okay, so what they have done is let me explain in a blaming way. Okay, nobody explains might be, but simple. So what they have done is initially they released some XYZ product by Microsoft. What they said is you just use this product for free, and everybody started using from a different companies. Let's say this is maybe a company, maybe IBM, or this might be Microsoft, this might be from a company called manufacturing company. So different business domains, right? They used, and what Microsoft has done is they created a database, and their applications, whatever their applications are there, how they are actually working the application compatibility and issues, crashing points, performance, all of that they have captured against to the Windows builds, and they send this data to Microsoft. So once they have the data, they build a product called Desktop Analytics. So what it does now, so with this Desktop Analytics, let's say you might have here a product, Windows 1909 build. Here you might have maybe 1809 build, or maybe somebody has 20H. So, but a common application, maybe Office is a common application everywhere. Adobe is a common application, or maybe somebody has maybe here Adobe uh, specific, maybe a designing or Photoshop, kind of different applications. So what they have done is, if that application causing some performance issues or some crashing against to the some builds, they know it now. So they will actually report back to endpoint manager in the console with the desktop analytics, and they say that, hey, this application, let's say application 1, application 2 are not compatible with 1809 builds, or maybe ABC applications are compatible. So maybe with the 20H it's not compatible by these applications. Like that, they can build a dynamically for you a set of devices. Okay, so now let me go back and tell you, how we used to do it in the past. When I say past, so let's say you have now a CCM. You might be a system engineer now, and you have different operating systems. So what you do, you capture every time as a machine, and then you create a image out of it, and you deploy that image to different machines. Let's say the current build is 20H, so you used to build. Okay, or maybe you're deploying as a servicing. Maybe you can use as a servicing, either any of the options. So either you do the service or you do the operating system deployment, or to migrate it. Are you 100% sure that all the applications are compatible? Definitely no. For that, before you actually deploy that specific build, let's say in this case maybe a 20H2, what you're doing is, for 20H2 here, you're actually you're making here the application to be tested. Actually, these applications are working on here by some other team, and after that you are actually releasing these builds. So it's a huge time taking and cost is involved, and after all of that also you're not sure uh, to actually send it to a pilot machines. So when you say pilot, you yourself decided by taking some XYZ machines as a pilot, but 100% that's not really a great machines, because maybe some unique users might be there. They might be using a XYZ applications. That may be a 1% of the applications or 2% of the applications. So we never know those users are the real users. That might not work after you picking up on your own, maybe from an IT team or maybe a specific domain people as the first pilot machines, right? So that's not real pilot. You yourself identified manually, but how about giving you automated pilot devices where that pilot is a real worthy pilot. So that's what actually desktop analytic tool does. So it gives you a automated pilot devices collection groups so that you can actually deploy it. So that's the advantage of the desktop analytics, and it also tells you what applications might work, might not work. So another way, if anybody knows maybe application compatibility toolkit or ACT in the past, so very similar thing. Okay, it does the application specific thing, and it's purely now cloud based, and you can manage that directly from the endpoint manager admin center. Okay, and I hope I made it very clear for desktop analytic, especially this specific tool, right? Just to give you, so it gives you the powerful cloud based insights of your desktop analytics so that you can keep your devices to current build version. That's the ultimate goal with the desktop analytics. Okay, it also gives you dynamically the pilot devices collection or the group so that luckily you can use them. Okay, that's the two bullet points I would say for desktop analytics. Let's jump into Windows Autopilot. So as I said earlier, most of the people, they think that Autopilot is actually a Intune technology. No, it's not the case. Okay, it's a Windows 10, uh, Win 10 technology. Okay, so anybody can use Windows 10 Autopilot technology. Meaning, let's say I have customized maybe with my pen drive all of the stuff that actually goes and communicate with Intune. Instead of that, if I just put that a redirection to my pen drive, the autopilot can be successful. Meaning, I can fully isolate Intune if really wanted. Meaning, it's not just the Intune today. Some other products also supports uh, especially from the VMware side, uh, workstation, all of that products also supports. So that's why I said autopilot is a new technology that can integrate with your Intune. So within Microsoft Intune, it's a ready-made available features or you have. So there are different profiles that needs to be created. Like within this course, maybe uh, a few words like a demo kind of thing I wanted to talk here. So we're gonna do all the autopilot configurations, all the demos, not just the one. So you have actually only two options, but two becomes as multiple options. Like the first option would be the user driven, meaning user have to enter his username and password, do some of the uh, clicks by using his mouse. That's called user driven. Other one would be the fully automated option. So that we are going to do it again within the user driven, or we will actually do with some kind of pre-provisioning we call it, or white glove we call it, and also kiosk builds, all of that stuff we are going to do it with the Windows Autopilot. And these things cannot be done on your virtual machines. Only one user driven setting can be done on a Hyper-V or your VMware, but for this you need real devices actually. So I'm going to provide you, I'm going to do it on a real devices, and I'm going to show you that also so that you're going to not missing anything, even a single click. Okay, for the autopilot. And also this can be integrated with SCCM also. So I'm going to show you that how to do that and how to do the customization. And also autopilot can be actually useful for the enterprise companies. Let's say you go back to Dell or maybe Lenovo, saying that when you place, maybe when you're placing 100 machines or 1,000 machines for your next hardware refresh cycle, you can ask them to hey, you provision my autopilot profile in my Intune or my Azure Active Directory. Then once they provide or provision that settings, all we have to do is user will just start the machine and it gets joined into on-premises Active Directory, also to Azure AD, and it also will have the required all the applications automatically available. And that way you can actually replace the operating system deployment and customizing that image and deploying applications. All of that stuff can be fully eliminated, the manual hours and efforts and the cost, because it's the job was taken care by your hardware vendor. Okay, all you have to do is you have to know, uh, make it that profiles are available so that end user can simply start the machine. That's it. When he log in, all the applications will be available. You deploy your Office or maybe AutoCAD or whatever the applications you have, all of them will be deployed and it will be readily usable state for the end user. And you don't need to do any further customizations. So that's the autopilot, and this is again hot, booming. So other two things, like, as I said, co-management and autopilot is the most on demanding skills that needs everyone these days. So all of these five different settings can be managed directly from a console called Endpoint Manager Admin Center. I can see that at least two guys has joined recently, and I just wanted to show them the admin console. So this is the console. From this is where you can manage everything. So if I show you desktop analytics, this is what the desktop analytic, and give me a second, it's loading. So this is how it looks like. It automatically creates your pilot groups, all of that stuff here, and these settings will be written back to your SCCM automatically. So at the end, the deployment would happen from your SCCM, but identifying the bottleneck issues and the devices pilot, all of that would be taken care by desktop analytics as of date. Okay, and the devices, we will be actually working with Windows devices, iOS and iPad devices also, and Mac and Android devices we are going to work, and each of them will have a lot of other settings. So we don't just jump into Android and then jump into half of them and jump into maybe iOS. No, we will take each of the platform and we will become as a master, and then we'll move to other. Okay, and also we will work on the strategy of how we have to go in a project-based approach. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But this is what the console, this is where you're going to do. You can, deploy the applications, you can monitor them, you can set the configurations, you can protect your data. Let's say there is an end user who owns his own device, meaning bring your own device, we call it, and that device might have maybe his Gmail ID was configured, and also the Outlook with it, which is official Office communication email ID. In that case, he can do the copy paste. You want to, restrict that. Taking a photo, screenshots, photocopies, all of that can be not restricted. And also you can make the configuration of the that Outlook automatically configure on the end user settings, so that he just have to tap the icon. That's it. He can check the email configurations. So all of that stuff, I know we're going to do exciting things within this course. And that's it, I would say, from the introduction side. And now, if you are a bit of, I mean, I'm opening for the questions. Let's take the questions. If anybody has on any of these 5 points or 5 bullet points, a few questions, um, that's okay. Otherwise, I'm going to put a different way of teaching.
When you mention about you'll be using a device for autopilot, could we also connect our devices and practice alongside?
Please, happily. If you
Okay.
have the device and you want to use it, I'm really encourage that you can, do it, and you can share the experience at the same time.
Okay, I'll get a device ready for next week. Another laptop.
Yeah, great. But make sure that that should have a TPM chip. That's one simple pre-requirement.
It should have what chip?
TPM security.
Our
Yeah,
TPM security.
yeah,
Uh,
TPM, trusted platform, basically. Yeah. Okay. So anybody else has any questions on learning part? What are we going to learn, and what are these products, all of that stuff? No? Okay, let me make a lot of confusions that you might have. Somebody has a question here. What about mobile content management? Yeah, app production policies. We're gonna learn, Karthik. So if you have anything else, you can share. If not, I'll take that as an answer. Now I'm gonna make it easy for you. Okay, really easy for you. What to learn, or maybe you join to a company. Let's take in this way. You might be joined to a specific company. Now, how you're gonna actually do the decisions? Okay, how you're gonna take as a or take decisions. Let's say what is right? Either should I go with cloud only with just the Intune, or maybe a on-premise? If so, what are the requirements? Or maybe a combination. I did already explain, but just put it here, so in a slide, so that it makes easy for anybody to understand. So choose if you're trying to provision devices constantly. Okay, then go for the Windows Autopilot. Don't go for the operating system deployment. Okay, because that makes easy, because you don't need to invest a lot on your resources and the time uh, to prepare that device. Okay, and you have if you add the rules and the control settings, like a user specific applications to be deployed, a user based settings you want to configure, or device specific settings, then just go for Intune. Okay, don't go for SCCM. Okay, because in this course I'm going to teach you everything from the Intune to on premises, right? So but when you go back to your job, you might have only just the cloud only, that's only Intune, or you might have both, or maybe you're just planning to move to on-prem to cloud. So you might be in any situation, but I'm going to teach you all that situations. But if you want to self-justify what is that you're going to take a decision, a path, then this slide is very useful for you. Okay, so if you're already currently using on SCCM and you're deploying your applications, but you wanna uh, secure those applications for accessing for the end users with the help of conditional access. So I am using here a word called conditional access. I haven't explained here maybe conditional access. Let's say let me take this vocabulary word and explain to you what is conditional access. So a conditional access is a word from Azure Active Directory. Simple. Okay. So this word is coming from Azure Active Directory. Are we going to learn this? Yes, we are going to learn this. Are we going to work with this extensively? Yes, we are going to work. Is it part of the course? Yes, it's going to be a part of the course. But are you going to do it in the real production? I would say may or may not, because this is actual responsible by not assistant team. It is responsible by Active Directory, guys, this conditional access. So let me explain what is conditional access now. Let's say there's a device. So if the device is, let's take a user first, okay? If a user is in an office network and he is trying to access maybe some portal within office network, then it doesn't ask for the username and password. Okay, it might be opening properly, or might be asking username and password only, either case one or case two. But if the same user coming from his home PC, okay, or some other device, then apart from the user ID password, it has to verify maybe a multi-factor authentication to secure. After verifying multi-factor authentication, if anybody doesn't know what is multi-factor authentication, it is a second level of authentication just to validate whom you are, meaning just proving yourself, like like getting a code on your mobile phone or getting a phone call, so that you can approve that logon kind of thing. Okay, so when you're trying to access from a home, it should prompt this. Okay, so this is a one condition. Okay, I would say. So you can put that kind of conditions with the help of conditional access policies. So there's a lot can be created within the conditional access policies. So you can do that. So this is one option. Other option may be if the user trying to access from a region based, because if you look at, we love the European Union policies, the content must be the data must be metadata should be on European data centers. So if the user is coming from maybe Australia or from somewhere else in Canada, then we have to stop it. So that can be achieved with the help of conditional access. Even though he's a genuine user, we have a policy. We have a policy that data shouldn't come. So we can apply that kind of conditional policies. Or let's apply the real policy with respect to the Intune. We talked about in the previous lectures about the Intune within this here complaints as a one word, right? So the device is not met, maybe your BitLocker not configured or antivirus is not configured. So we treat that as a non-complaint. If that's the case, then we can say with the conditional access, we can stop accessing some other applications which are secure application, maybe your portals or your websites, or maybe accessing some server. All that can be restricted, okay, with the conditional access. So that's the meaning of conditional access. I can explain. So now let's apply how that is going to used here. So if you want to use that kind of conditional access scenarios on your on-premises, then you must have to jump into co-management, meaning you have a CCM already, so the devices are already managed, but you want to apply, you want to take the advantage of co-management. Then you'll jump into conditional access. Okay, now if you're currently using already a CCM and you're responsible for Windows 10 devices to up to date uh, with the servicing plan, does anybody doesn't know Windows servicing option? I've already used more than 4 or 5 times. Anybody? Or can I take it as everybody knows?
Windows servicing option, you said.
Yes.
What about it?
Okay. So Windows servicing is to maintain the machines to up to date with the current build. Okay. Let's say what's your Windows version. So in my case, if I just go back here, WinVer, I think it's 2004, but Microsoft already released after 2004 build 20H. Right? So we have to upgrade to 20H build. So this is the ongoing activity. Every Microsoft has a servicing channels. So they follow 18-month, half yearly, different servicing channels. So we just have to, follow that servicing channel to keep our Windows 10 devices to up to date. Okay. So to do that, earlier we used to do the Windows upgrade. Okay. That's actually part of SCCM. You can do that. I'm going to show you that. So this is my SCCM console. Okay, so you have here servicing options within this. Let's say Windows 10 servicing. So you have a service business plans. So if I just go back here, I have devices on a 1809. Some of them are different. So yeah, it's a semi-annual and annual long-term. So these are the three different channels. So if a Windows 10 is attached to this channel, so you have to upgrade long-term or maybe semi-annual or annual like that. So here the build is on a 1809 devices I have here. So this machine should be upgraded to the latest. That's what it actually talks. So you can actually create from a CCM here the service plans. Okay, and once you created that service plans, you keep your devices to up to date with the help of SCCM. Okay, so this can be done from SCCM also from Intune also. So I'm going to show you from Intune definitely, but just to give you what is servicing is, that's what it means. So if you want to keep the devices to up to date, I'm not talking about the patching, I'm talking about the Windows builds, just to clearly clarify to everyone, Windows builds to up to date, then go for Windows Desktop Analytics. Okay, and without any additional cost. Actually, this is, you don't need to pay anything, but you need to have Azure subscription, and that's not going to charge you anything. Again, just to explain to you, you need to have Azure subscription, but it's not going to charge. Okay. uh, and also, if you want to manage the mobile devices or application management, mobile specific, operating system specific, some kind of settings that are not part of your Intune, then you want to do some kind of a customization, then you have to go for Intune definitely. So these are the a kind of decision information. Always you can come back and think whether I'm gonna do in this direction or not. So just to consolidate it, what we learned so far with these 5 bullet points. When do you go for cloud? So you will go for a cloud that is only Intune method if the data is completely stored in Microsoft Azure platform, and you don't have any data centers, you don't have any servers that to manage, then a good approach would be go for MDM with the help of Microsoft Intune. Okay, and if you have on-premises already existence on your company, then it's better you go with SCCM only. Okay, and you don't have any cloud based, then just go to the SCCM. But if you want to use some of the features on a cloud, then you might have to go even for the co-management, or just the on-premises only, but I don't want to go for cloud, but I wanted to give my machines to get the content over the internet. Let's say the users are working from home, my on-premises users during this pandemic. I wanted to configure, I wanted to make their devices to be compliant and push the patches, operating system, and also applications, inventory, all of that stuff. Then with SCCM also you can do it with the cloud management gateway. You can do that stuff. But coming back to the powerful options that you have as a combination, most of the companies goes in a co-management. So that's the approach where you want to go with the cloud as well as on-premises, then you can do it. So I wanted to give you here one clarity. You might be thinking in this way, so don't think in that way. So that is, if you're thinking all of devices are co-managed, no, you can define this set of devices only can be co-managed. Okay, and these devices just wanted to manage with SCCM, or maybe some devices just manage with Intune. You can do that with a single console. That's the flexibility. I hope you might understood some of them. As every device, do I want to go for a co-management? No. Okay, you have an option. Choose only what devices want to go for co-management. Only set up a few devices because of the business demand. You want to manage from Intune as well as from SCCM. Some of them only from SCCM. I don't want to manage them. Let's say you have your desktops which are lying on your on-premises network. Why do we have to attach to Intune? You can manage it. Okay, like that. You might have some your own business requirement, so you can play mix and match, right? Okay, now I would like to say that we have completed successfully 1 hour time. How did you feel actually? Because this is a kind of a partially demo, little bit, and partial learning. I wanted to take everyone's opinion here to continue further to only Intune. So in the next few minutes, we're going to talk about Intune capabilities, deep dive, what Intune can do, and how you can get it, and also where you can get the trial so that you can also practice, and some of the features that are not going to supported by Intune. All of that stuff I'm going to talk. So before we jump into it, because I haven't talked anything on really on a portal, I'm not going to do it that in this way. Only slides. I'm not going to do this after once we learn what is Intune capabilities. We're not going to do this. We will be doing everything on a portal. We just wanted to take everyone's opinion as of now. How did you felt, Kumar here, or Easy?
Yeah, it's been quite informative. So, you know, in the little hour we've spent learning this, I've already picked up some knowledge, and you know, the differentiator between all the different services within Endpoint Manager. I have a better understanding now, which previously I didn't. So it's been good so far. So it'll be good to see, like, we're learning the theory. It'll be good to see how the practical side of things,
Yeah,
how that goes. But yes, definitely very good. Yeah.
sure. And Srikanth?
Yeah. I also learned new things from you because I'm new to this Intunes. So now it's okay. Going further, we can know like how we would like to know. As of now, it's
Okay.
everything fine.
Okay, so my style of explaining is at the end, I would actually take the feedback of everyone. So I don't want any one of you go with the questions from this sessions. Either it's a demo or it may be a real class. I wanted to I will be asking, insisting to explain any of the questions at the end also. Okay, so you have any questions by anyone? Okay, please, Vinay, you have any question?
No, I'm good. I'm new Intune and just trying to understand its background. Then, if we jump into the demo, then we can explore more. At this moment, I could feel like it is a theoretical class.
Yeah.
So once we jump into the demo, then probably it will be more interesting and more opportunity to explore into this Intune product.
Thank you. And I'm going to actually take it by 11:30 to the portal. I promise. Okay, Karthik,
Hold on. Sorry. Did you say by 11:30? So what
I
time
mean,
is it? Past not
by
three.
another 30 minutes for you. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't worry.
20
Oh
minutes.
yes, yes. There were different time zone. I just
Yeah,
remembered.
in another
Yeah.
30 minutes. I'm sorry. I used,
20 minutes. 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes, I
20,
guess.
yeah, 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to take it to the portal. Don't worry. Vinay.
Okay.
Yeah. Kranti or Sunil, Srikanth Sri Ramadas. After a long time, man. How are you? Good evening for you. I'm sorry, too early for you. I think it's 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. there.
Yeah, it's not too early. It's 10:30 p.m. It's fine.
10:30. Okay.
Yeah, so far it's good. Yeah, let's go deep into the main Intune demo stuff. That will be more interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we all are from IT background and we know a little bit about Windows and SCCM products. So it is good to go into Intune so that we can explore the product. That is
Okay.
what I feel. I believe whoever is trying to learn Intune, they must be aware of some concepts into Azure as well, right? So the cloud platform. So probably
I'm gonna talk on that also.
okay,
Maybe in another 20 minutes plus. How this is gonna fit all of that stuff. Okay.
okay, all right. We'll wait for that then.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you. I'll just continue with the capabilities of Microsoft Intune. Thank you. So here with the Microsoft Intune capabilities. So, so as we talked extensively already, you might have already have some understanding now by this time if you're quite new to Microsoft Intune. So uh, it's a cloud-based service, I would say. It's not a server, it's a service, meaning if something goes wrong, Microsoft is responsible, not by us. Okay, and you don't need to have anything on your on-premises network. That's how the cloud is managed, Microsoft Intune. Okay, and initially this Microsoft Intune is actually focused on device management, like mobile devices, not for Windows or all other stuff. It's actually created to focus on mobile devices. That's why today also you can manage most of the things on your mobile devices with the help of Microsoft Intune. Okay, so you can control your organization devices that are using within your company mobile devices like mobile phones, tablets, laptops. All of that can be controlled with the help of Intune. So if anybody is quite new to the enterprise experience, we as a company, or in enterprise companies, we not only buy the Windows devices or maybe a Mac devices or a laptops, we also buy the mobile devices and we give it them for the uh, directors or maybe to the end users, whoever, based on their company's requirement. Let's say a company is there, they just wanted to decided to go for Apple devices. What happens is we go to the Apple purchasing program and we buy it there and we give it to the end users. So when we give it to the end users, here the options are open. Now as a company, you have to decide, do we want to install or allow Apple specific applications there also, or we wanted to block all of them and just enable only company specific applications or company approved applications. And same thing goes to Android users. So if you have an Android phone, maybe it might be any make, you must have a YouTube, right? You can't uninstall that YouTube. But when you buy it from Apple purchasing, sorry, the Google specific operating system or mobile devices, like let's say Samsung device, maybe most of the companies go for Samsung, Galaxy specific. So let's say your company decided Galaxy specific devices and it is offering for end users. So those users do not have a YouTube. It's just Chrome and your approved browser, whatever it is, and also your applications. They cannot configure Gmail or any other applications. You can do in a such a way. So that's a power when we talk about the mobile device management. You can do it, and we are going to do that. So there are total 4 different methods that can be allowed. That's called uh, bring your own devices. Just the one method that maybe no, but there is something called corporate owned device with a user options, whether we want to allow or not allow, like that. Okay, we're going to talk on that deep dive when we go to the Android device management. Okay, so I think it would be tomorrow's session, and today mostly we will be working on Windows, if I'm correct. If time allows, we'll jump there also. Okay, so now you can isolate the data within that device. As we talked, one of the capabilities would be, let's say if this is mobile device, you can actually make an isolation within the device. So this is maybe corporate owned data, and this section will be even encrypted, and this section would be your personal device configuration. Let's say you might have YouTube, you might have here Gmail, you can send all of that, but anything, the data cannot be shared here. You can do that thing. So that's what the isolation, you can do it. Okay, we talked about that, and we're going to do that also in the upcoming demos. And you can welcome the personal devices. You can set the configuration not to allow or allow, all of that stuff. Okay, and you can configure some rules to automatic configurations to happen on personal devices or maybe company owned devices. You can do like, let's say if the user is moving from one plant to another plant with his mobile device. So what happens? So if the user goes there, there might be Wi-Fi has to be automatically connected so that he can enjoy the Wi-Fi benefits or the local intranet applications. So for that, when the device moves to that specific plant, automatic Wi-Fi should be configured. Okay, that can be done. Automatic configurations can be done by deploying the applications, user specific applications we can deploy from Google Play Store, or maybe iOS App Store. You can deploy the applications for your end users automatically. And also you can make your own Google Play Store. Let's say your company bought maybe 10 applications. So the 10 applications, like a GoToMeeting in this case, or maybe um, some other SaaS-based application, Salesforce, all of that stuff. So they just simply go there and they simply install that application from the Play Store or maybe iOS Store, App Store. That would be company created link, an isolated environment, and they simply go there. And if they have a license, that is granted for that end user, it will be visible and they can simply install. Or we can make it as a mandate also. We can push that application. Okay, that's what it says. And you can protect the data as we talked, and we can make the devices to complaint. We talked about that, so that we can achieve the security requirements. And you can get the inventory of that device specific information. And to be frank with you, if you are from a CCM background, a limited inventory was not extensive information, but that is what enough, I think so, for the inventory point of view. You don't need to uh, get what is configured from a add and remove programs, or maybe some registry key inventory, all of that stuff. You don't need it actually when you're trying to manage from cloud based. So it's a limited, but that's sufficient, I would say. And you can stop the machines or the devices that are jailbroken. That's a rooted devices can be blocked. All of that stuff can be configured automatically for you. You can push the certificates. You can get the reports also, what devices are compliant, what devices are not compliant. And also, if the user left the organization, you can wipe only that section. Let's say we said earlier, this user using bring your own device with his Gmail ID here and his personal stuff here. But within this stuff, maybe we earlier pushed Outlook, and we also have our Salesforce applications, all of that stuff here. So once a user is no more working with us, we can simply wipe only this isolated data, not his personal data. We can do that. Or if the device itself lost with a corporate owned, meaning all the data is corporate owned, then simply wipe this entire device. Or you can re-provision this device for one more time for another user. So all of that capabilities can be done, and we're going to do all of this stuff. Uh, sorry, yeah, we're going to do all of this stuff also. Okay, so with the continuation, you can assign mobile applications, as I said, uh, based on your users groups. So we're going to learn the AD, Azure AD. I'm going to talk on, as Vinay asked earlier, we're going to touch Azure AD also a little bit. Like, you can make it groups. Let's say maybe all Office 365 users, so that Office 365 can be pushed to these groups, or maybe a set of devices. Okay. And also, you can push some kind of settings, application configuration settings. So these are the app protection policies, like maybe a specific settings should be applied to automatically configure, so that the user no need to configure. In that case, you can actually do it. And as you AD specific, we're going to talk. So you can copy paste the data, can be isolated as we talked here. A personal profile to here, the company profile shouldn't copy paste. All of that stuff can be done. Photo stop, all of that stuff can be stopped. You can create enrollment, automatic enrollment. So in SCCM, if you're coming from a SCCM background, we used to call SCCM client agent to be deployed manually, or push group policies, logon script, or soup based, all of that stuff, right? So with Intune, now we call it as an enrollment. So not the agent installation, we say enrollment. It's a word that you need to remember, enrolling. So when you say enrollment, you're actually making the device to be part of your organization, so that the device can be managed from your organization, Intune or Endpoint Manager portal fully. So that's called enrollment options. I'm going to talk on that very extensively on different platforms, not just the Windows. We're going to do on iOS as well as the Google specific operating systems. Okay, so that's the capabilities. That's good. Now we have another 10 more minutes to discuss a little bit on a different thing. So if anybody has any questions on Intune capabilities, they can ask. So what I've done is I initially started initially I started what is actually Microsoft Endpoint Manager and how it was called. So if somebody is calling us here Microsoft Endpoint Manager, meaning MEM they call. Also sometimes if they are referring to MECM, meaning we should understand it's not now anymore SCCM, because SC was referring from system centered. Now it is Endpoint Manager. Okay, so we called MEM. Some other people, they wanted to go for a long, and they say they also add this one more M in between, so MEMCM. So either you call it anyway, it's the same. We talked about this, and also here Intune. A few people also called like this also, I'm sorry, but they call in this way also. We talked on this, the naming, all of that stuff. After that, we also talked about the products that are part of Microsoft Endpoint Manager here. And then we talked about, once we talked about all these products, I gave a little bit of information on all of these products uh, with another slide here, deep dived with the features and options that we have within Microsoft Endpoint Manager, right? Like Intune, Configure Your Desktop Analytics, Co-Management, and Windows Autopilot. Post to that, I did talk about, if you have any confusion, you can actually decide what to choose, what is best for your business, like either cloud or on-premises or a combination. And also, once we have decided all of that stuff, now it's time for me to actually take it to cloud only. So when I say cloud only, as I said, beginning of the training, we are gonna deep dive in a two methods. Microsoft Intune, I'm gonna teach you in a two methods. One is cloud only, so just the clouds specific, okay. And other one would be the with the on-premises, with the co-management, all of that advanced stuff, okay. So once we finish this, we will jump here. Okay, so that actually completes the entire course. So I'm gonna test within this cloud different options also, like Windows enrollment, autopilot. Also we're gonna, here also autopilot comes as a combination, like a hybrid AD join, and also Android devices and iOS devices, Windows devices, enrollment. I used a word called enrollment, right? So that's what we're gonna learn. And here, uh, just to give you here one more, um, so post to that, what we have done is here Intune capabilities we spoken, and you all know now what is Intune capabilities, right? So let me take it to the next level of the course training. Is this clear for everyone?
Yes, there was a slide there you had up with all the different apps Microsoft saw for business.
Yes, I'm going to talk on that. So it's
Okay.
like you buy the devices. You can see now we're going to talk about three things: Apple, Windows, again from Microsoft, and Google Play Store. So three of these companies have their own stores. So everybody knows that Play Store is again from a Google, meaning I can go and buy something and then I can make that too available for my end users, right? Similarly, from Microsoft also, they also have Microsoft Store for Business. So you can do uh, that stuff basically, like you can buy the Windows licenses, some applications, Surface Pro devices, or any of that things can be bought it directly from here, there, and that also can be managed. I'm going to show you that also later point here within this enrollment options and the configuration that comes up. I'm going to show that. So in fact, we're going to sign up for Store for Business and do all of that stuff when it comes to the application management also. Okay. And any other questions anybody has? So this slide is I have not talked, so ignore it. Uh, Ignore it. This slide. So I talked only till here. Capabilities. That's it. If everybody is clear, then we will jump into the how to get the trial stuff practically, and then we slowly jump into the Windows enrollment sections. Is it okay for everyone? Okay, Kranti, right? Kranti has a question. Publishing applications to mobile devices means that does not require mobile device users authentication like general biometric approval on iPhone. Good question. So what happens is it depends. It depends, how do you want to, push it? You want to make it as a mandatory? Then it just available. If the device is owned by your company, so application has a license. That means you bought the license, you can deploy that application, right? So that I hope that clears your question, Kranti. Okay, good. So we are going to actually deep dive, Kranti, on that part. What type of devices? You might know only a single device as of now, but the same device will convert into 4 different types. I'm going to show you that. Physically, it is a one device, but it can be converted. It can be acted as a 4 different devices. I'm going to show you that. Okay, guys, enough. So I wanted to take it here, device management. So earlier, when Microsoft Intune was actually started, they actually have a portal called devicemanagement.microsoft.com. Today also it works on that portal, on that path. So let me show you here. So if I just go here also, this will redirect to endpoint.microsoft.com. So meaning this specific URL, so this devicemanagement.microsoft.com is the first URL when Microsoft released Microsoft Intune. And during that time, it was never been part of Microsoft Azure services when they initially released. Okay, later point what they have done is they merged with Microsoft Intune with Azure services. So meaning if I just go to portal.azure.com, okay, meaning I might have some kind of subscription, all of that. So here I used to search here Intune, and then I used to get here the console. Okay, but what happened is they have taken out. They said, hey, we have moved out to a static URL to this. So this endpoint manager will be gonna give a lot of jobs or a lot of skills that are required for help desk and system admins in future. That's why they wanted to make it as a dedicated URL, endpoint.microsoft.com. So that's nothing but this URL. Okay, so if I go back here, this is a URL. Okay, enough. We know now how to open, but how do we get the access? How do we get the trial? Okay, before we jump into the Intune, so I just wanted to show you Intune licensing. I wanted to talk here a bit. So if I just go to Microsoft documentation, okay, so it's like I would say Microsoft Intune, think that it's like an ice cream. Okay, you see uh, the same ice cream. It's an ice cream. Definitely, it's a cool thing, melty thing, tasty. But you have a flavor like maybe strawberry or vanilla, kind of different flavors. Similarly, now when we are going back to cloud, you have the license mix and match. You can play, you can bundle that license, XYZ license, part of different licenses, programming, different license programs. Earlier, if you want to buy Windows 10, we just buy Windows license in a open license or maybe volume license or enterprise licensing. 3 different methods we used to buy, right? But it's the one license. But here with the Intune, since it's a cloud-based service, as I said, right? So this service can be utilized if you have any of these licenses. So I wanted to tell you that in Microsoft, in US and Europe, a lot of schools, literally schools and colleges. So literally colleges, schools uses Microsoft Intune lot. So lot. Let's say if you know maybe colleges of 10 in US or in Europe, at least 8 of them will go for Microsoft Intune. and they offer for their students. That's how it is much flexible for the uh, management side. Okay, and they have different licensing for them. That's called Microsoft Intune for Education. Okay, and they also have Intune is part of, I'm saying as a part of E36 Office Microsoft 365 E3 and E5. So if you're quite new for what is Microsoft 365 E3 E5, it also combination of Intune and Office MS Office license and Windows 10 license, all of that stuff. Okay, so here different things, you have different licensing options, but at the end what we wanted is we wanted Intune license should be available for that user, meaning some of the features might not work, like a conditional access might not work if you do not have a premium license of Azure Active Directory. If you remember, I was very clearly said that it's not that you are gonna use or you are not gonna manage the conditional access in a real world. It will be by AD team. Why I use that word? Because conditional access is part of Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. It's not part of actually Intune. Okay, it's a capability from or the feature coming from Azure Active Directory. So that has a different licensing model. So if that licensing model meets that requirement, Intune can use that option. That's how it's going to work. Okay, so these all are the licenses options that you have. I hope everybody can see. So, but from the client side, how it looks like is, if I don't know if I have any of the user. Let's see. I have a single user here. So I wanted to show you here for this specific user. If I want to assign a license example, so I get a lot of other options. If you see here, I get a lot of other options. Out of that, one single checkbox which is talking about Intune. So all I have to do is I have to go to the user properties and see whether I have a Microsoft Intune license. That's it. Either if I want to manage something on a users, I should have this license. Or if I'm trying to manage some device, then I should have this uh, license. So I'm going to talk on how best we can actually assign the licenses in the real world. It would be definitely by groups. I'm going to talk on that. I didn't talk about the users groups or anything on it, what is tenant, all of that stuff, or Azure Active Directory. I'm going to actually take it from a very basic level, really basic level to the high level skill. Okay, so you need these licenses. Okay, can I give a try on these? Yes, Microsoft offers some of the free trials, so you can use any of the free trial that is available with you if you want to give it a try. Can I get 100% all the features can be utilized during the free trial? Yes, you can do it 100% all the features. There's no limitation, but the limitation is the count of the number of licenses. Let's say if I go with any of these licenses, either E3 or E5, I get a count of 250 user license. So I can use 250 licenses. Okay, so that's a huge for you to give a try. Okay, so I'm going to actually try EMS license. Okay, uh, why I should go for only EMS in this trial? Because as a promise, I'm going to show you the conditional access. I'm going to show you the hybrid AD join, the premium features of Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, all of that stuff. So I need to go here. So this actually gives me a full feature set so that I can give it a try and I can show you all of that. Okay, anybody can give it a try. So simply go for here and say trial. So you get a sign up option. So if you just search here with a trial, as I said here, I'm going back here one more time. So you can search here. If you just go here with E5 trial, you have an option trial. You just click on that. So if you look at what are these features, all of that stuff. So we talked about all of these almost. If you look at here, EMS talks about you have the Endpoint Manager configuration manager. You have Azure Active Directory. you're gonna get the Microsoft Intune and also DLP specific like information protection and also cloud app security. This is again a security product because EMS is enterprise management security. The security specific products will be added here like threat management and ATP, Defender, all of that comes into EMS file. Okay, but what we're going to use is we're going to use three things: Azure AD, Endpoint Manager Configuration, and Intune. Okay, these things we are going to utilize, and rest of the things we are not going to use actually. Okay, but they are going to offer as that license. Okay, so to create a license, you need to have at least one email ID that is just to prove who you are. Okay, so I have already my email ID, that is my Gmail ID. So I'm going to use that Gmail ID in the upcoming steps. So I'll just click on create a new account. Okay, so I'm going to sign out this. Trial, create a new account. One second, I think it's going back to the trial, this page. Okay, free trial, click on this free trial. It opens a new link. Make sure that, if you have signed in already, try to log out because it will try to create with your existing account that you have already logged in into Microsoft services. Okay, so it's just asking just to verify what's your email ID that you have. So in my case, actually, I have my email ID. I can give that. So that's where it's going to send me a verification code also. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to enter my mail ID for this demo. So throughout the course, I'm going to use the same option. And this is my official email ID for this training course. So I can be reachable at memtrainings@gmail.com. This is my email ID. That's it. So it looks like you need to create a new account because for the first time, I'm actually taking a sign up in Microsoft site. So I have to click on setups account. So it's going to ask, hey, who are you and what's your business, all of that stuff. They're not going to reach you on this ID, but just for creating an organization name later point. Okay, so I can say that, hey, myself Patty and myself Maddie. Also, I can be reachable on specific number on this. This is my number and my company name I can give here. Okay, plus also just data.
I'm sorry. So what URL we need to enter to get this page?
Okay, so you just go to EMS trial. Okay, the first one is actually what happened is it was cached, seems to be by Google in an index. Okay, this is taking to the sign out option. So don't go here, go to the first page. In the first page, second link. Okay, click on this. Okay, click on this free trial. Okay, this would actually take it to this page.
Hey, Patty, can you copy the URL in the chat?
Yeah, definitely, man. Why not? Okay, chat to everyone. Just go there. Okay. I think it's also mentioned in the somewhere in the slides also how to get a trial, but that's okay. If you're quite new, you can go and get it here. And your company size. So in my case, I'm the only one person, but I'll just take maybe 2 to 4. Maybe you all are there, so I'll take it maybe 10 to 24. Company name. So this is the name that's gonna appear on my company name. So I'm sure that you're already working in some company, right? So the company will show when you log in here into Intune portal or maybe Azure portal, wherever. So it actually shows the company name. In this case, it's a company name. INS is the company name, right? So here I can give here as my company name as a Patty Maddie example. or I can give Paddy Maddy Intune demo example, and I can choose the location. This is a metadata where it's gonna put in my data. So I'll choose India. That's fine. So it's gonna verify my mobile number here. Send a verification code. So I'm fine to verify the code. So you can hear that that I got the code. I'm entering that code. It's 09. Verify. So my number got verified. Now I'm gonna take here a 5 to 6 minutes explanation to you all if you're quite new. Okay, so this step is critical. Please try to understand if you're quite new to Azure or quite new to Intune. Okay, or quite new to Office 365, or you might know Office 365 but you never heard any of these things. Okay, so if you see here, we're actually talking about here, once again, we're talking about here something called a tenant. If you see here, there's a word called tenant or custom domain, right? So here, this is called actually a tenant. Okay, tenant means like somebody to come into our own house as they're going to pay rental or something like that. That's called a tenant, right? So the vocabulary word in this page would be tenant. So remember this word tenant. Okay, we are gonna keep on using this word again and again. In general terms, it's like we are welcoming someone to our property and they're gonna pay for that some money, right? That's the tenant. So what happened is in the long back when Microsoft actually created a product called Office 365, they actually created a product called onmicrosoft.com website, and that they actually created a big active directory. So they called as the Azure Active Directory. Think a little bit, I'm sorry, I might be using the wrong words little bit, but just to give you a high level idea, I might have to use here wrong way, but the meaning would be easy for you to understand. So what they have done is they created some identity management solution called Azure Active Directory. Okay, their identity was everything on Microsoft.com. So if I welcome someone today, they are going to be my tenant. So uh, they sell in such a way that the Office 365 have to be buy from Microsoft, and they have to use a user ID and the password which can be created in Office again on a tenant. So in this case, what's your tenant? So let's say I want to, I have a company called IBM example. So I can create a company name with IBM and say here, I'm going to use all the accounts. So in this case, definitely IBM is already taken by a real company or somebody else. So if I just use maybe, like a random number, it might be available. Okay. So if I say check available, so what happens is this tenant is available. What I can do with this tenant? You can create your user accounts. You can create your user accounts, groups. You can assign the licenses. You can manage all the identities like it's your on-premises Active Directory replacement. What is this? This is actually replacing your almost identity solution over the cloud by using this tenant. Like in this case, 1234 IBM example. But can I map to my company email, a company domain name? Yes, you can do that. Like if your company is IBM, you can do that. So in our case, we do have a live thing. Like I have my own domain, so I'm gonna map to the domain and I'm gonna show you. Okay, so why should I map it? If I don't map, what will happen? So here I wanted to open a notepad and give you an example here. Let me increase the font size so that everybody can easily see what I'm trying to type here. Let's say there's a user. Okay, uh, is it font size is okay, or you want more font size? Let me know. Let's say there's a user. Okay, user one example. So how he logs in is user ID is like user1 at company name is ibm.com. This is how he logs in. But in this case, what happens? So since we are actually creating a tenant, what happens is user1 at the rate whatever this is your business tenant name, right? So at the rate this tenant name dot on microsoft.com. This is how user have to log in, okay, normally. So this doesn't looks good, right? So to replace this, what we do is we will actually map the custom tenant. This tenant is there, right? This is the tenant name. This tenant we will map to your company name, like in this case ibm.com, so that the user can log in at ibm.com, or user1 in this case, right? Yeah, this is how it's going to work. So if I mean I made it very simple, I didn't went in depth of what is on-premises Active Directory and what is Azure Active Directory and comparison, all of that stuff, but in a simple way, if you want to start anything in a Microsoft Azure cloud services, you need to have a tenant. Okay, so this tenant is normally they will create based on your company name. So if your company has already Office 365, I'm sure 100% in that case they have already a tenant. So how do I find out? So if you simply just check in your email, also the tenant name will be available. If you just go to the gal, find out SMTP properties or somewhere, or maybe in a portal.azure.com or portal.office.com, you can find out what's your tenant also. Okay, so that's how logically it will map. So I'll just revise if for a person who is completely new. So what we do, we create a tenant. What's the tenant name? In this case, tenant name is IBM 1234, whatever it is. Till here, this is the tenant. So the tenant will be created where? On a Microsoft site, on a Microsoft identity platform. What is that? Full name. A full name would become as this. So this is the full tenant name. So how the user account will be login? User have to log in with user1 at tenant name, full tenant name. That's at the rate this. But how I can map? So it doesn't looks good, right? This entire lengthy name. So what we do? We will map to our company name. How we do? We will log into Azure AD portal and do that stuff. So if you just want to show you high level on immediate basis, just to give you, this is already I opened and another portal. So I'll just go to Azure Active Directory here. So if you see here, this is my tenant. What's my tenant name? Intune demo 002 is my tenant name. Dot on Microsoft.com. So I can map this to a custom domain here. I can make it as IBM.com. So IBM.com. What it will ask is, it will ask you to verify, hey, you said IBM.com, but is it really owned by you? If so, can you make a record in your DNS so that I'll go and verify? So that's how the validity would be validated. So it doesn't mean that I gave ID IBM.com. It doesn't mean that it's gonna username can be verified. It's no, you have to verify by creating the DNS records. In fact, we're going to do that. I'm going to show you that also in a minute. So everything is live, purely live, and this is how it will be. Okay, even though it's a demo, you feel as a real. So now, can anybody suggest what to be done? Yeah, IBM is already taken, Kranti, so we cannot validate, and it's not even available for you. And it was taken by definitely IBM company, definitely that time. So what we do is we will go with another name here. Okay, and in this case, I have just taken as IBM as example. So let's take the real example. So I'm just going to go here in Intune demo 003. Let's see if this is available. So this name is unique. It must be a unique. As I said, I can't have here IBM because it might be somebody taken. So you cannot use IBM here as a tenant. So I'm going to give here Intune demo 003 because 2 and 1 or other things have already taken. So I'll just check availability. It is available. Okay. So what is happening is during this sign up, it is actually creating a tenant for us. So make sure that this information is saved somewhere. So I'm just saving here for our entire class site so that we don't lose. So click on next. So it's going to ask for user ID and password. So I don't want to, okay, I don't want to share the password with you all, but the username I have to share. So what is a user ID that can be become as the global admin permissions, or maybe a super user? Okay, in our case we call it as the administrator, right? So similar permissions, what is that user? So in this case I'm just gonna go as usual, Paddy at this account. So he's going to give that information. Once I finish here all you said, he's going to give that entire detail. So I'm going to actually enter some password. So give me a second. Let me enter my password. Every course I create a new password. So yes, I got the password. So I'll just enter here. Oh, it says that. Okay, I'll use different password. I use this, it's not taking. Okay, I'll take some other password. Okay. Come on, I'm sorry. So I'll just see different password. Okay, that's my password. So that's fine. If you want to join, you can join all of that. So it's going to actually take here. It's going to, what it is doing, anybody can tell? So it's going to onmicrosoft.com and it is going to create for us a tenant, and inside the tenant, it's going to create a user account called Paddy at the rate tenantname.com. So you see here, this is a tenant got created. Okay, and the user account also created for me. Clear? So till this point, anybody has any doubts on how to create? Please. No? Okay, I'll take it as no. So it just got created a tenant. Now let's go back to your getting started page. Okay, so you can simply go to endpoint.microsoft.com. Okay, that's the URL. So you can put it into your favorites also. Okay, now you see here, whatever the name I gave here, like here, Paddy Maddie Intune demo. That's my organization name. It came, right? And I was able to log into Intune portal or Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. But I would say this is not the best start. Actually, you should learn a part of Active Directory, then come back to Intune. So I'm taking a direction here to go back to Intune portal. Sorry, to Active Directory, and then I'm gonna teach you something there, and then I'll come back to the Intune portal. Hope that is okay with everyone, or does anybody wants to take a break or something like that? A quick 5 minutes break, if anybody wants, can take, or I mean, because I don't know.
5 minutes would be good.
Yeah, okay. So it's time now around in this clock, it's just 11:55 a.m. We'll come back and join by 12. Okay.
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 So whatever the time in your time zone, will join by 12 sharp, please. In between, if you have any questions, you can ask, maybe if someone has.
I heard like hybrid join. What is hybrid join? Like it's like I'm
And
audible.
that's very important one, actually, hybrid AD join.
Okay.
So I'm going to actually explain that also, part of the course. So I'll tell you with a simple drawing, maybe
Okay.
during this break time, we can
Yeah,
utilize that
please.
to give you an idea. But if anybody is missing, anyway, we are going to learn that also as part of the course. So don't worry about that. So you have the on-premises Active Directory here. That's called AD, Active Directory
Okay.
only. So you have here users. You also have devices, right? So everything is working fine here. But what happened is now these days, everything is moving to the cloud, right? So your company has maybe moved to some services, maybe a service, let's take a server, or maybe a web application, or some applications or something was moved to cloud. Okay, so now now this user, whatever this user is there, this user here, he no need to remember a different user account name and a password, all of that stuff. So what to be done is we actually make these two identities. As I said earlier also, or in another 10 minutes also, I'm going to explain to you what is Azure Active Directory. Okay, instead of we directly jump into endpoint portal, we said we will go to Azure Active Directory, right? So this is here in the cloud, there is something called Azure Active Directory. Okay, so in short, we call AAD. Okay,
Yeah.
who was this? This was Srikanth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Srikanth. So we call it as a AAD. So now here also identity. When I say identity, what is Srikanth? Like you will have a Srikanth at the rate Azure AD user ID and Srikanth at the rate on-premises AD. So it makes more complex, right? Instead of that, how about having a single identity? Okay, that it might be like Srikanth at the rate your company name.com. So you log in either here on this computers or on these computers, or to access these applications. It should be a seamless authentication process. For that, what Microsoft has done is they come up with a solution called hybrid AD. Okay, what is hybrid AD? Hybrid AD is like you have whatever the identities, like Srikanth is there here account. So the same account will sync here to where? To Azure AD also. So this ID is synced to Azure AD. So now the Srikanth account is already available here. You no need to create any additional account and the password remains same. So for that seamless authentication, what they have done is the device is there. For example, this device. So this device, what happens is the right explanation would be it actually joins to Active Directory this machine. Also, this machine also joined to Azure AD. So AD join,
Yeah.
if you ask, it's like, you go and take a membership, right? You get the membership from Active Directory, either on premises or on a cloud. So two places it will have
Yeah.
a membership. So nothing wrong, right?
With the
So
same ID. Yeah.
the same device is the same. Device is the same. Have it too. Yeah, with the same user ID. So for this,
Yeah.
what is in between this mystery is there, right? This mystery, what is this? So that actually uses something called AD Connect tool. What it is? It is called AD Connect. So this
Okay.
tool is a powerful tool. It does the job for you. Okay. So who's going to install this? Who's going to do this configuration part? AD guy, not you. But I'm going to show you that as part of the course. Okay. And
Yeah.
also, I'm going to show you, interestingly, Srikanth, here in on-premises, you have a SCCM server, right? So this SCCM machines, also whatever the devices are managed with the SCCM, these should upload to Endpoint Manager console here to these devices, right? And also to manage all that stuff also I'm going to show you. And also when you're join any of the machine, let's say I have a Windows 10 machine here. What I'm doing, I'm actually joining the machine to Active Directory, local Active Directory. Okay, to the local Active Directory. When I join, automatically it also joins to Azure AD. Automatic. This process should go automatic. Okay, so we do that. Or if a user is trying to log in, but the machine is already joined to on-premises, we automatically join the machine to Azure AD. We're going to do that. Okay, so this stuff is why should I explain? Why should I explain means I don't need to explain to you all, but these are the advanced concepts that are demanding today in the job skills. Okay, and you need to have these skills, to be frank. Okay, at least the understanding. If I explain everything, if you captured everything, that's well and good. If you don't capture, at least you know what is happening. Now you know AD Connect. Okay, so if something goes wrong, if the device is not coming back to the endpoint portal, you know why it is not coming. Okay, all of that stuff we are gonna learn. Okay, hybrid AD is that.
Okay,
Okay, for
and
this again, yeah.
yeah, we are giving access from Azure portal, right? It has been changed. Then how you got connected to Endpoint Manager? Like how you get access from Azure? It's directly
Yeah.
how you got connected. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Actually, that's why I know that, I think you're quite new to the Intune, right? And Azure
Yes.
also. That's why I know. No, I will cover. That's why I said, instead of you go here first, you go to Active Directory. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to Active Directory. I'm gonna tell that's the same thing. Okay. That's why I said,
Yeah.
I will spend, at least 10 minutes to 15 minutes. We do all that basic thing to learn in Azure Active Directory. Then we'll go back to our actual step, Endpoint Manager Administrator. I can understand, Srikanth.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I will be back in
Yeah,
1 minute. I'll go for
yeah,
next
please
room.
take a break.
One,
Yeah, take a break. Yeah, I'll also take.
because it's already 12 to. I'll just be back in.
Yeah, yeah, take a break. No problems.
Thank you.
You there, Paddy?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there. Is everybody back?
Yes, I'm
Yes,
here.
Paddy.
Yes, buddy.
Okay, great. So since we have taken a break also, let me refresh what we have done so far. Okay, and that might help us. Okay, give me a second.
Could you please remove that calendar?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah. So what we have done is I have actually explained how to take the trial. As part of the trial, taking actually what Microsoft Microsoft needs a tenant to be created, because this Intune or whatever the service is coming is from cloud service, right? So for that, we need to go to the EMS trial and just click on free trial. That would actually start creating a tenant name in on Microsoft.com. Okay, so we gave a name. This becomes as our company name kind of thing. So what happens if your company name is already taken by somebody, so you can give as a 01 or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, because at the end the usernames will be visible with your actual domain name, not with the not like here in this case, like user at the rate. No, it doesn't looks like that. It looks like user at my company name, maybe ibm.com. This is how it's going to look like that. So for that we need to have it in. So since a few of the learners, active learners here within this forum, are quite new to Azure Active Directory, I must have to explain a very basic level of Azure Active Directory at this point of time. And the advanced topics of the Azure Active Directory we will be learning later point. But at this point, it's going to be very basic, so that you know what is Azure Active Directory. So whatever the service was enable this Endpoint Manager Admin Center, it is actually on top of Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, right? So because this is the tenant name, right? This is the tenant name which was created for us. So now let's actually go back to our Active Directory. I do not want to go to Microsoft Endpoint Manager now and make you confused or make you to bluff you that we can do all of that stuff, honestly, because we just have to understand first Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. Then we can go back to Intune or the Endpoint portal and we can work on it. Okay, so how to go to Azure Active Directory? So there are two ways. Okay, you open up your portal and go to portal.azure.com. Uh, this is the portal for all Microsoft Azure cloud services. Okay, so Microsoft offers lot of cloud services, like you can create virtual machines, you can have your SQL server, you can have your storage account, Kubernetes services, Dockers, lot of things. Okay, so out of that there is a service called identity service. So what is that identity services? So Microsoft uses Azure Active Directory. So if you just click on these three bars, you have here Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. You can drag and drop here if you want. So if you don't see, you can actually go here and search Azure Active Directory also. This is how also you can search. Okay. So when I click on Active Directory, so what is the use of this Azure Active Directory? So simple, you create your users. Okay, you create your user accounts, your groups. Okay, you can join the machines also to Active Directory, so that you can apply these settings whatever you want to do it. And you might have some of the applications. So just wanted to tell you here, it's a combination of uh, different skill, but just wanted to explain here. Let's say in the on-premises you might have only identity like user ID and password, but here even the applications also in a cloud, it's a different protocols, REST APIs, and different protocols will work on a cloud native application. So the applications actually create here. Okay, the developers creates here applications, and for these they grant the application permissions, all of that stuff. Okay, in Azure Active Directory. So you also have your applications. Okay, in fact, we are going to do the advanced concepts like cloud management or all of that. We might, come up here and do that stuff also. That's okay. For now, you see here, you can create a user account. So can we create a user account? Yes. So let's create a user account in this case as a user, create a user account. So before we create navigation, I wanted to tell about navigation. So we call this whatever it was selected at this point. This is the main navigation, okay, for Azure, any of the services. And the second part, this side, okay, which is post to the from the left to right, is a new blade. So we call it in a Microsoft Azure world as a blade. So this is navigation. And if I click on Active Directory, this opens a new blade. And if you see here somewhere in the bar also here, the address bar, where is my cursor is there, right? Here it will come as a blade also. If you see here, somewhere as a menu blade, all of that. So we call it as a blade, everything as a blade, okay? So that's a navigation side. Okay, so I'm going to Active Directory, creating a user account. So let's create a user account. So I can invite some other person also, or I can create a new account. So our course is limited to creating a new user account, not for this. This is something called a business to business Active Directory, but we are creating a user account. So let's create here an account called Chris. Okay, so how Chris account will be there? So Chris has to log in with @Intune demo 003.onmicrosoft.com. That's what he has to use. We have not verified it. So let's see the base thing, okay, at least once, and then we do the advanced topics. Okay, so here we say Chris is the person, and what's the password you want to auto generate? Let's automatically generate. This is the user account and the password. So I'm gonna create here Chris and the password is this at this point of time. And what is the user location where he's going to use? So this is mandatory whenever you create any user account in Azure Active Directory. uh, to use that user, uh, I mean that functionality to work properly, you might have to, you must have to, even not might, you must have to update the user's location. So this is the first mistake that most of the students do. They forget to update this. Why this is very important is the metadata is government, as per government laws, they have to bind the law, right? So you have to choose here where your, this user belongs. So in this case, India, I'll just create the user account got created. Congrats. So now we have a user account got created. How the user will log in? Let's say I have something to do, maybe in Azure, or maybe in an Office portal, or maybe some applications. Then the user have to log in, right? So what I'll do is I'll just open a cognitive mode, my browser, and my apps.microsoft.com. This is a URL, okay, which will show if you assign any of the applications to the user, he can just go and open. Okay, so in this case, the user account is Chris @ what is his name? This is the tenant name, right? So tenant name. So click on next. So it's asking for the user ID. So if nobody is logged in and change the password, it's going to ask for us to change the password. So I'm also changing the password quickly and signing in. So I'm able to log in. So as a Chris, as an end user, okay, don't confuse, as an end user, as a Chris, I'm able to log in. And if there are any applications, it will be visible here in my apps. Okay, and here, let's say I have maybe a Salesforce application. I bought it, maybe it will be visible like that. Okay, and this user also can log in with MS Office. If you have taken a MS Office trial or we have integrated, then he can log into portal.office, that's office, and if he have any of the license, he can get that. Okay, so that's how it's working. Fine. So Chris now able to log in with the specific user account, right? So let's also try to create any of the groups. How do we create a groups? So group, click on the groups. You can create here it's a security group test. I'm gonna come back to the groups one more time. I'm going to explain to you all of you, like what is this, what is that, all of that's a description and dynamic user, all of that stuff is very, very, very important. Quickly, I'm just creating a default group. Let's create as a test group. I can make this group to a member by going here. I can add that member like Chris here, search for the user account, Chris, and simply select it. So this is how it actually works. AD, right? So I gave you a little bit of background information how the users groups can be created, but not in depth of the groups. I'm going to come back here. We'll keep on coming back to the groups again and again later point also. Okay, now let me explain the tenant wide explanation from a top. So you see here, this is my company name, and I'm the global administrator. The first account that was signed in as a party at my tenant, I'm the global admin. Global admin means if you're coming from on-premises, it's like your enterprise admin, your domain admin. Okay, so he can do all the things. Okay, that's called the global admin. So within Azure Active Directory, you also have a roles and administrator. So like application admin, building admin, like that, different things are there. We're going to come back here, and also we're going to work with Intune administrator, the Intune admin. Also we're going to work with that role later point, but just wanted to tell you, yes, you also have some of the default roles. So you can create a user account and come back here and assign the roles. Okay, so now if you see here, this is my tenant information, global admin, and what is the current license I have for my tenant? I'm eligible and I have a license of P2 license, premium 2. So now I might have to explain to you a little bit of Azure AD and a licensing point of view, my friends. Otherwise, it doesn't look good to me or to you also. So let me explain a little bit of licensing. I'm sorry, this is also part of your course. Okay, without understanding of your licensing, it's difficult to learn. So let's go to Azure licensing. So every licensing information is mentioned in the calculator, Azure calculator we call it. Okay, Azure AD license. Okay, so here if I just go here, pricing, it's gonna calculator we call. So here it's gonna explain with it these three uh, plans. So first thing first, let me put it in USD. It makes it easy for everyone to understand the pricing. So anybody go back to Microsoft Azure and create their tenant for free. No need to pay, not even trial. No need to even trial also. Anybody can create a tenant, okay, like on Microsoft.com. For example, like this. So this is the tenant, anybody can create. So what are the limitations that you have? So you can go for a 500,000. If you're coming from 500,000 means in like in Indian numbers, like 5 lakh objects can be created. That's a huge, right? For any company, there's a huge limit of user accounts, all of that stuff. But there's a limitation of powerful capabilities, like application integration. We talked about there's a Azure AD also integrates with the applications, right? That's very limited. You have here options, single sign-on options limited, all of that stuff. But the exciting things here, if you look at here, premium features that like password protection, and the self password can be reset, all of that additional features which are coming, including hybrid identity, like your on-premises AD to sync up, all of that stuff actually comes in a uh, P1 license minimum, also P2. Okay, P1 and P2 is the uh, base minimum that you need to have. Okay, P1 is the common that you see in any company. Okay, you also have a P2 licenses. So if you have a question that do I need to buy for everyone P2 or P1? No, You don't need. You can identify your resources, and that specific business unit can be a P2 or P1, mix and match. You can do that. And you might have a question that I have already Office 365. So can I am eligible with some of the premium licenses? Yes. Even Office 365 also, what happens is when you try to sign up in the backend, it actually creates a tenant. It creates a tenant, and that tenant, let me show you that for you. So let's see, portal.office.com, right? So if I just go to portal.office.com/admin, which is my admin, so let me, so if this is the admin, okay? So this is where you can do control, you can control user account, user creation, and reset password, licensing, all of that stuff also can be done from here. You see active users. I can also do the Chris user account. I can reset the password if I want. I can assign the licenses. You see here, I have a licensing options. All of that stuff I can do here also. Like, P1 license only to be assigned. I don't want to assign everything for Chris, maybe just the P1 license. I can do that. Okay, I can only assign only Intune license. So if I just go here to this guy and say Intune only, I can do that. So for Azure Active Directory, you have different management options. One is Azure AD, a specific portal you have, right? This is what. Other one would be the Office 365. You can do it here, most of the things. Can I do it from Endpoint Manager? Yes, my friend, you can do it here. You see, users, you can create a new user here also. Chris is coming up here also. I've not done anything here, right? It's coming. So think in this way. It's a hyperlink, boss. My friend, it's just the hyperlink, right? You click anywhere, wherever they want, they can simply integrate, right? It's a simple click. Users and groups are also part of now Endpoint Manager. They can create here class kind of
No,
icon,
wherever
same options.
you, sorry, Paddy, wherever you create the user, it reflects in all the other portals. So if
Exactly.
you created it
Yes,
in Office 365 or Microsoft 3, it would reflect in admin, in Endpoint Manager and Azure.
yes, it is. It is. That's a
Then
great
why would
thing.
you even have the Office 365 then? Why not just do everything
I
from
just,
the Azure platform?
okay, I'll tell you. So when it started with the Office 365 and Intune also, some of the capabilities were tightly integrated with Office 365. Okay, later point they wanted to make it everything to Microsoft direction to Azure, and then again they have taken a redirection to have completely everything with the SCCM tied up. Okay, so they have
Mm.
taken their directions, but now it's a mature direction. That's why you are able to hear all the time now Intune job postings or Intune skills required, or companies are implementing Intune because it's almost mature product. When I say almost, it's not fully, definitely almost matured. Okay, and yeah, this is just the hyperlinking. So wherever they want, they can simply hyperlink this uh, links. Okay, I hope I cleared your answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you have multiple option. If you are the Office 365 admin, you can do it from a admin center. If you are from AD guy, he will work only from here. If you are Intune admin, you will be working from here. Okay, this is how it's gonna work. So these are the basic thing I just wanted to explain to you. Okay, I also talked about the here the premium licenses. If you just go to this link in your free time and just go and compare what are the features. So I pasted in the chat also, or you can Google as the Azure Active Directory pricing. It talks. So one starts from, if you see here, the free one, we know it, 510,000 objects, and then Office 365 E1, E3, E5, F3. These are all licensing options, and this is these costs are separate. It's part of your Office license. Okay, if you buy E1, it's a just the basic license where you have your Outlook works from only web based. Your Word works from only web. That's called E1. E3 is a desktop applications, and E5, F3, those are advanced, which contains your security options. So if you just compare, some of them are advanced options also will be covered with the only E5. Either way, if you have the P1 license, that's a $6, and another $3 if you pay for user, then it's going to be P2, premium 2 license. So that's the licensing point of view. Okay, so in our lab we will, we can play the way we want it. Like without license we can play, with license, P1 P2 also. Why? Because you have an option, always, either from Office 365 or maybe anywhere, you have an option to take that simple checkbox. I can take out all of these checkboxes and say I wanted to limit to P1 or maybe just a P2. Like that you can work out. Okay, so what is the best way of assigning licenses? Let's come to this point. So the best way to assign the licenses is always you create a group. Okay, group of um, Active Directory group, Azure AD group, and then to that group you assign the license. Let's say this is a test group. So what I can do, I can go to the licenses here and say assign license. I can simply say, hey, I want to assign all of this license. Simply save. So the users should be part of that specific group. That's it. That's how you can assign the licenses for a group, and you know now how to do it for a user also. So the best way, recommended method, all the companies will follow. Even Microsoft recommends to always assign on a group level. Okay, this is not the end. Actually, we are going to keep on assigning. We will be doing again and again, but I'm just trying to explain the very basic things for you all. Okay, and in AD, now I have just completed this tenant information. There's a unique thing, that is, this is a tenant ID. In the Microsoft, in the backend, with this tenant ID, they are going to work. So what is that? This is a long, lengthy, unique number. Okay, they work with this ID. So that's their unique ID, like your passport kind of thing. It's a unique thing. Um, this this is your ID. Okay, tenant ID. So for us, the tenant ID to remember is this, like Intune demo 003.onmicrosoft.com. This is our tenant. But for Microsoft, internally they work based on this tenant ID. So they, when you contact them, they might give you to, ask you to, provide this tenant ID. Even in some of your PowerShell scripts, you always refer to this tenant ID. Okay. Now, I explained this. Now I'm going to explain this as Azure AD Connect. So when you want to sync with your on-premises Active Directory, you're going to do this. Okay, for now, I'm going to only focus on a cloud today. So we're not going to do anything. Okay, if I'm correct, might be on next Saturday on 24th, we might, jump into AD Connect concepts. Okay, and this is like, normal things, registration, all of that stuff. And now you might have a question, hey, how can I connect my custom domain? So you, even when I try to log in, if you remember, or if I just, if you allow me, if I try to, oh, this is a guest, huh? Okay, let me, yeah, if when I try to log in here, sorry, I used all the browser options. So portal.office.azure.com, if I try to log in, what is happening? If I put, my ID example, okay. So what happens is the next minute, okay, I put my ID, it actually takes to some other logon screen, all of that stuff. You see, my company's approval, all of that stuff is coming. And if I approve, I would be logging, right? So that's a different story. So you have in the back end all that screen, look and feel, and the logo. So what all the things you're getting here? So if I put it here, my company logo is coming. Okay, my ID is coming here. Maybe this is my background screen, right? And I'm also prompted for my MFA. Okay, and I can, if I want, I can go back my password-based authentication, all of that stuff, right? So I don't want to log in now, but just wanted to, tell you that you have this background options. These are your user experience options, right? These are what exactly? These are the user experience options. So how can you actually customize this? So these all the things can be customized in your AD specific. So when you actually go and do all this stuff within your endpoint manager in your company, this might be has been already done, but you have to do it in here also, because some of that customizations also required in order to work Windows Autopilot. Okay, so we are going to do the customizations now. Okay, and also we're going to do the custom domain name. Okay, I think we have another 30 minutes or so we can complete these steps, so that tomorrow you can log in with custom domain as well as uh, with the user experience. So let me go back here to custom domain as a first step. So my friends, I have actually a domain already for my lab. I bought it. So lan in my lab.com is my domain name, which I bought it, meaning I went to GoDaddy and bought it for money, not for free. Okay. Why did I bought? Because I wanted to simulate everything as uh, same as your company. So think that this is your company. Okay, so you might be working in IBM or Microsoft or any other company. So company name at the rate, I mean username at the rate companyname.com, they should be able to log in. For that, I need to have a domain. So that's why I bought it in my case. So I can click on add. Now it is actually showing me to go to my domain where I have this domain. So in this case, I have my domain in my GoDaddy. Give me a second. I have to log into GoDaddy and point to DNS. Give me a second. I'm sorry. It takes 2 minutes or one and a half minute before I share my screen to you all. Okay, this is Lend My Lab, right? So I'll just go to manage DNS settings right here. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share here and share something else. Okay, so I'm a very confusing guy in terms of screen sharing. I get myself confused.
Why don't you just log on to GoDaddy on this browser?
Yeah, I have a couple of other confidential domains also. Give me no
Oh,
problem. It doesn't take a much minute. It doesn't take much time. Okay.
Even it will be
Uh,
better, Pari,
you see
to
here.
try the
No worries.
domain.
Yeah, you see here. So this is my domain. Okay. So what I have to do, I have to add that specific records,
so
right?
you have to add those TXT file.
Yeah, txt file, all of that stuff, right? So either you can add txt or mx record. You have two options actually provided. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll actually, I think you're able to see, right, this the
Yeah.
domain information txt. Yeah, let me show here from.
Pari,
So either
is
you
it
have,
possible to increase the screen size? Uh,
this is already increased, man, you know, you don't find anywhere 175 zoom. Okay, I think is the same case for everyone?
Yes, I can see it well.
Well, right, yeah, because you know, I know that, you know, this is the normal feedback, so I'm the only one person I think so, you know, gives the good text. So here, either you have to verify on it on alias of text or MX. So let me go back to my GoDaddy. Okay, this is my GoDaddy. Okay, so here I can simply go back to my domains and domain settings and DNS in DNS management, because I bought it from GoDaddy. So this is how, but if you bought it from Namecheap or some other different steps, but at the end, the record creation is same. So click on add. So here, you tell me, you know, you want me to go for MX or TXT? Anybody choose. We can verify anyway, okay? Because we have two options. So I'll go with text Hope everybody's okay. So it's the @ is the host alias that we need to do. So txt I have to choose, host is @ and here the value is this. So simply I paste this value and say save. Okay, now I'm gonna stop my screen share. This is what you have to do on a DNS side. Okay, let me actually share the screen from application. Give me a second. Yeah, this is how I'm gonna do it every time. I'm sorry, but you all will find me like that. Able to see? No, right? Not it?
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
you should be. You should be able to see now, right?
Yes.
I can see
So
the screen.
now, okay, we have added that records. Okay. So what is the general theory is it takes actually 72 hours theoretically, but since the GoDaddy or Namecheap, it can replicate anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes between. Okay, so all you have to do is you have to click on verify. Before I click on verify, I wanted to show you what I've done actually, right? So from Active Directory, we went to custom domain and clicked on add custom domain. And then we added our domain name called leninmylab.com. And it asked us to make these records to be created, any of the record type, either TXT or MX. So in our case, we went to GoDaddy and we created this record. And now I'm going to click on this blade, verify. So it's going to verify if the record is available. Okay, so now it has verified. Okay, so if you want to, if you get an error, let me show you before. I haven't, make here as a primary also. Just wanted to extend here a simple troubleshooting skill. DNS propagation check. Okay, this is the what's my DNS.net. Okay, if you just go here, type len in my lab.com, right? So the record type is what we have created, txt. So in your case, whatever the domain name, whatever the record, just search here and you can see here, it should be replicated everywhere. Else you will get an error. You see here, very few locations, it's not replicated, like, New Zealand, or maybe some part in Korea and South Africa. Maybe a latency is there, that's fine, but majority is replicated. So all other locations, it will be replicated in another, it should complete within 72 hours. Okay, so now it's replicated, even New Zealand. If I do a quick refresh, right? So it's still pending with the Korea. You're getting me, right? So in case if you get an error, make sure that go to the DNS propagation, any of the website, and check that record whether it is properly replicated or not. Okay, let's say if I go for a record, it's replicated everywhere. Okay, there's some problem in Switzerland. That's fine. Okay, so this is how you would verify. Okay, I hope no confusion, no troubleshooting required further. So once you have verified, it's asking me to make a primary. Why? What is the meaning of primary is, like if you see here, my previous domain, that is my tenant name is actually, there is a tick mark here, you see, primary, meaning if I create a user like a Chris, it was actually taken at the rate my tenantname.com, right? My tenant name was taken when I try to create, which is in this case user at the rate by default. So when I make as a primary as this, so if I create one more time, maybe a user name, it actually creates user at the rate learninmylab.com. It gets created. Okay, so that's why it is making me to make a primary. So I can make as a primary. Can I make? Yes. You have to do it 100% and then simply close this. That's it. Okay, now the tick mark is moved to top, which is leninmylab.com. Let's check it. Go back to users, new user. Okay, here maybe this time user one example. So if you see here, by default, it is trying to create in a learninmylab.com. So let's quickly create user one here, example, and the user's location should be United States. Okay, just created user. So what I can do is I can go back to the user profile, and if I want, I can change it. So user should be able to log in with user1 @ this ID. Okay, if I want, I can go here, UPN name, I can change this to something else if I want. Something else means that should be, my verified one, right? So like if I want to roll back, I can roll back to here. Okay, so you want to see how this user able to log in? Let's do that quickly. I think this is the one. Yes. So this time we'll try to log in portal as your example. Anything just to authenticate, right? So user1 @ I can go back to, what's my company name? learninmylab.com. Okay, so user1,
No, you put LN.
yeah, lab.com. Okay, so now it takes to my company portal. So what I want in future, I want to change this logo, background, all of that stuff in another 10-15 minutes if time allows. If not, we'll schedule for tomorrow. So I can put it here, whatever the password change the first time. So I must have to do.
What about in an organization, you have to set up like 50 users at once?
Yeah, I'm going to talk on that. If you're really interested on that, I'm happy to do. But these
Yeah.
things will actually go to Azure Active Directory team, not to the Intune guy. Okay, our responsibility comes into managing the devices or the users. Okay, but if you're trying to do from bulk, yes, you have an option. So you just have to go to, I told you, three different interfaces. Like I told Azure Active Directory, URL, also told Office 365, also Endpoint Manager, but always go to, because this is a job by AD guy, right? So you go to Azure AD Active Directory, go to users. You have an option called bulk operations. You can create users. From here, you can delete all of that stuff can be done. So here it gives you a sample data. So you just have to download the sample data, fill that sample format. Okay, keep everything like as it is. Okay, example, Chris information has been given. And then once you have done, just say, go back here and upload it here. That's it, it gets created for you. Okay,
Okay.
and also you can do it from the PowerShell, which is our handy tool. You can do that. You can also do it from here. Cloud Shell, this is a Cloud Shell, we call it. There are a lot of other options, but these are goes to AD. But you need to know what to be done from where, at least.
Yeah.
That's why I'm taking this. Okay, so we were able to log in with that account called user1 @ learninmylab.com, right? That's good. So we were able to log in. Now, if I want to, change my user, which is Chris, sorry, not this anymore. So yeah, I don't want to confuse. So now I want to change this Chris account to log in, because if you see Chris is able to log in with tenant name. I don't want this to happen now anymore, because now we have verified. So what we can do, we can type len. So we can simply change that account, everything. Save this. Okay. Now Chris can log in from now onwards like this. Okay. So these are the basics from the AD side. Okay. So now you know what is Active Directory, how to create groups. I didn't talk a lot on that, but I'm going to talk. But before that, I wanted to give you the rich experience. Okay, how can I give is I can go back to branding. Okay, so this is where I have to do the custom branding. So configure. So I mean, this is definitely not you. It will be done by Azure AD guy, and Azure AD guy also will go back to a designer team in a company, and there is approved logo, company logo, and the background, text, all of that stuff will be there. Okay, so in my case, what I've done is actually I have already created some of the logos. So if you see here, this is my square logo, my background screen, like my company logo, all of that stuff. And other one is I like this beach, so I created this as a screen with 1920 into 1080, and this is my banner name. So these things I have already created. Okay, so what I can do is I can actually upload here directly. But before that, I wanted to talk and I wanted to show you here. You see here, what's my background image? The background image, as I said earlier, it should be approved and designer should be made it available 1920 into 1080. So click on this. Okay, and it would be C colon Paddy logos of yeah. So here I made it as it's a what is 1920 and 1080. So I'll just take this. So this is my screen, which is perfectly fitting for me. And for my logo, I'm also making here logo change. So logo change is it should be 10 KB with 2080. So I made it this. And text, if you want to know your username, example user at whatever it is, you can give any of the text that you wanted to give here. And advanced settings, background screen. So these are basically will be done by your AD team. Okay, don't worry. So this is my square logo in a dark theme. I can customize these things. Again, the same thing I want to. Sorry, the above one. This one, square one. So for a dark logo, what should be there? Other one, how it should look like, all that. So do you want to opt them to sign in, like for some time, so that the Kimsi, that's called keep me signed in option. That's a kind of a token which will enable. So you can simply save it. So I've just customized. So what would happen now if I log in here, just opening in a new browser, portal.azure.com with a user account called Chris at learninmylab.com. As soon as I put it, okay, and give it tab and click on next, it actually changes in the backend, you see, and also nice look, all of that. And also if you see here, whatever I mentioned, the text that is coming up, okay, you see here, this text is coming up, right? So nice. So I can enter the password and I can log in. Clear? Yes, no. Easy, right?
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
go back, please go back on that, Chris. Yeah.
Chris account?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go back. Huh.
So this page, would this logo change? Microsoft logo, wouldn't it change here also, or no?
It will change, right? If you click on next, it's changing. It's changed to Paddy Mary.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, it's changed. And also, just for, since you asked a very good question, appreciated that. So let's say, you want to customize, right? Something, see, as a German, okay, they want it in a German language, the UI. As different languages on demanding, like French and German, that can be also done customized. See, I've done as a default one. Now let's do the same customization, same files, same logos, all of that stuff for maybe a language called here Dutch, right? I can do that. I can do that. So it can be assigned, actually. It can be assigned to different, so that it would determines. So okay, this user is coming from Germany, so it should be displayed as that banner and logo, all that stuff. So
But
this is how you can.
where would you specify and say, okay, users from Germany will see this login, users from, how would the user
Microsoft is because the portal.azure.com itself, it can it has that capability, built-in capability to automatically identify from which region it is coming. Let's say if I select here, so I know that the IP source IP which is coming is from Dutch.
Okay. So if I was
Okay, it
in
picks up.
Germany and I
Yeah,
logged on, then I would see the, okay.
yeah, it comes that. Okay, so these are the basic things. Okay, we have another 10 minutes, I think, before we wind up for today. So far, any questions? Yeah, if not, I'll take 5 minutes to explain about AD groups, and then we will jump into conclusion. Okay, for today's session. So I didn't talk about much on the groups. Now I'm going to do it, okay, in a simple, easiest way. So groups are very similar that you have in your on-premises Active Directory groups. But these groups are very intelligent, very, very intelligent. Let's say if I create a new group here, I have here security group option, okay? But you see, you can give here, you can also create here a Office 365 group, meaning the DL specific, right? With your team will have a DL, so that group, okay, Office 365. But in our case, it's a security most of the time. So I'm just giving this as group name is Intune or users example. Okay, so this is the description you can mention. Now the thing is, uh, see, as I talked in the beginning, I will actually take it the entire course in two methods. One is the cloud only, other one would be the on-premises, right? So when we go to the on-premises, all of that stuff, advanced topics, I'm going to actually talk on this topic, okay? This is, okay, this specific option, yes, no, toggling option. This is a high level option within Azure Active Directory specific for a privileged identity management concepts. Okay, meaning every user, including CEO or including global admin or the super admin also, will be a normal user in Azure Active Directory whenever they request or whenever they need and superpowers to perform some action in a certain point of time, or maybe a limited time, or maybe a future time. You can grant access based on toggling this yes and no. Okay, for that there is a something called Azure Active Directory Privileged Identity Management Solution that is part of Azure AD P2 license. Okay, I'm going to show you that also. Okay, how you can be a normal user. So any user is a normal user all the time. So that user will not have any superpowers, but whenever he is going to implement that specific change or whenever he needs, he can self request to the Azure Active Directory to provide that super capabilities during that specific time zone or time, or maybe a future time, and then that user will get an email kind of a notification, hey, you are now super user, go ahead and do that changes, and he will be doing that changes. Okay, so that's a big story on this. So I don't want to do it now and make it confuse you, so I'm not going to talk on this, but this is called PIM, privileged identity management. Okay, it's part of Azure Active Directory. Okay, so I'll just clear this. So I'm going with the default. Okay, now here you have options called membership. So there's something called assign, meaning a group, that, for example, a user from user 1, user 2, or from India. So simply assign statically. Okay, a user from maybe UK, you can assign from manually. But how many days we can do is manually? Like, if you go back to your on-premises today's Active Directory, you don't have a dynamic option, my friends. Here you don't have any dynamic option. Your guys, your help desk team is literally creating a user account in your location. For example, let's say if it is Delhi, he's gonna create a user based on Delhi or London, and he's making that user to part of all users in a London, all users maybe for a specific project. Manually, he's doing all of that stuff, but not anymore with Azure Active Directory, because it's a cloud-based and very intelligent compared with your Active Directory, which is from your on premises. So now you have a dynamic user. Either it can be a user or a device. Okay, it can be a user or device that can be automatically become as a member for this uh, f- for this group dynamically based on a location or based on a role or based on some XYZ settings that are available dynamically. It will be so that let's take a simple scenario. I want to assign Intune license for every user. What I can do, if a user coming from maybe a London, they should have an Intune license. Simply location I specify as a dynamic as a location as London, and for London all Intune users, I simply assign the license. So tomorrow new user comes as a Chris, automatically he gets a license. That's why it's recommended to assign even a group based. So a lot of fun will be there with the dynamic users and dynamic devices. For your information, autopilot will be done with the dynamic devices. Okay, so we will work with the groups a lot. Okay, this is what about the groups. I'm sorry I took 3 more minutes extra, but give me 5 minutes more to conclude this. I would like to end up here. Because after that you can simply here select here and say dynamic query, and a lot of query options is there, is not all of that stuff, properties like a device is Android or OS version, object, display name, all of that, different labels are there. We are going to work on with those labels later point, and we'll create those. So this is what the first session on Intune. So to learn anything on a cloud, you need to have the Azure Active Directory. I gave the very basic, and I have also explained the introduction to the Intune and the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. So coming back to the fee, I'm sorry because I have to conclude another 3 more minutes. So if you're coming from India, UPI payment easy. Either you can pay to this link, the bpavan.26 at OK ICICI. This is a UPN. If you are from foreign, other than India, outside base.India, you can ask me PayPal link. I'll give you one-to-one because I don't want to expose everyone the PayPal link and bank details as a security issue. Okay, and that's it. I'm open for everyone's questions. Okay, if and from tomorrow onwards you pay, and I'm gonna only explain. Otherwise, I'm not going to send the invite link for you. Reason being, this is a 3-hour session which I have already taken. As I promised in YouTube, I said 2 sessions, which is 1.5 hour plus 1.5 hour, but this is 3 hours which we have already taken. So from the next session, you have to pay and learn or come to the class.
Do
Okay,
we pay
so
the full amount, or we pay half and then 2 is the end of the course and
no,
pay the rest?
no, full amount. Good question, but full amount. You see my the explanation. Why I have offered free is for like continuous of 3 hours. You'll come to know my depth of knowledge. My speaking skills and easy to understand, and my out of all of this, the teaching style is very important. Not everyone will understand this, or not everyone will have this kind of style of teaching method.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's important for me. What I find is it's important these videos are recorded, because like
Yeah, I'll
you
come back to
recording
you
this
on
now,
that. Sure.
you recording this is very useful, and then you
Yeah.
just send it to me or send it to us. So I would expect we do the same for each one, and then it's easier that way.
Yeah, I'll come back to you on the recording part. So at this point of time, um, as I said, I'll talk to you one-to-one on this. Okay. But recording, yes, I cannot promise to give you the recording, but I'll give you whenever you missed out or something like that. If you're not able
No,
to do it,
no,
I'll
then that
help you
would
out.
be an issue for me, because I don't see why that would be a problem. Like, you've recorded this now, we download, then I can refer, like later on, when I want to study, I can go back to the videos and look at them. So if I don't see why recording would be an issue. If we paid for the course, then we're entitled to the recording as well.
Yeah, I'll talk to you site. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's not a problem. Okay. Yeah, anybody has any questions like Srikanth on the course content? You might be expecting something else. If I was not covered in that in this course, let me know. Or do you have any questions like, yeah.
Idea I was expecting for Azure, like how to take access on that.
Azure subscription you're talking about?
Not Azure subscription. From Azure, we take access to do that, right? How we
What?
get into that? Like only how to get into that access from the company portal, from the Azure portal, how we can get access into Endpoint Manager,
Okay.
like
See,
to edits
yeah,
and all.
if you're in this portal, okay, if you're in
Yeah,
this portal, you can search for Intune. Okay, you don't get it. I told you
yeah,
this already. I said
yeah,
it's
yeah.
moved out.
But yeah, next what step? Like how we can? I have to
Click on
check
this.
into that.
Yeah, you clicked on it. It goes here. Okay, if you're asking me about the roles or back, that's a role-based access. Yes, you can do that. We are gonna talk on that later point as part of the course. You have a different roles. You can assign for a guy for only help desk, read only, customize, all of that stuff. We are gonna talk on it. Okay.
All right.
Okay, but this should be a favorite now. Okay, so as I said earlier, we are going to actually talk a cloud only first, then we'll go to the on-premises, and then this is how you have a devices here. You can see this is my from other lab. So you have a devices here like co-managed. Some of them are here. If you see, maybe just one device is there co-managed. Okay, and these are data which will upload co-management configuration, all of that stuff. This is a cloud management gateway, but attaching the services, all of that stuff, we will do it.
All right.
Okay, so it's a live actually. There's nothing that just a lab part. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. We'll catch you on one-on-one for this
Yeah,
payment.
please. Yeah, sure. If you have any other questions, you can ask me, Srikanth, out of this lecture, because it's a lecture. Yeah. Anybody has any other questions? Sunil, Kranti, Kumar? Come on, guys, you're on online or not?
Someone raised your question in the chat. Can you, Kranti,
Oh,
I
okay.
think, have it.
1 second. Yeah. Okay. Um, can you brief in short the difference and need among the Intune 03 and Learning My same tenant together? Yes. Okay. So your question is specific to Azure Active Directory. So let me take it to Azure AD and explain. So within the AD, we have here a tenant. We have taken first as initially as this, and we map this tenant to our custom domain. So is it necessary? Yeah, it is necessary. You're not going to work in in a lab environment kind of thing, right? You're going to work in a company like maybe IBM or whatever the company. So they will be mapping to their own company name. If not, what happens is users have to log in with their on tenant.com. It doesn't look good to the user experience point of view. Okay, and yes, the tenant remains same. As I said earlier, if you catch my point, Microsoft works based on the tenant ID. We work on a tenant name as a humans, right? So computers in the backend, the technology works based on a tenant ID, meaning it just in the backend, it doesn't matter what domain. In my case, I have another domain also here. Like I can re-verify other domain. It's not just limited to one domain. Your company might have multiple might acquire some other company also. In that case, you can verify here, and that user, the same user, can be part of another user. In this case, maybe at the rate IBM or maybe at the rate Microsoft or something else. Okay, so I hope this is clear, Kranti, the question. Yeah, got it. Thanks. So anybody else has a question? Srikant, we have two Srikants, Srikant Sri Ramadas or Srikant. Anybody can open up.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, Srikant, no questions? Okay. You got everything? You understood everything? Okay, sure. Satish, still is in a mute. Seems to be, it's too late for him, I think. Yeah. Srikant, you slept? Sri Ramadas? Okay. Okay, nobody has any questions then. Thank you. Thanks for joining today, and we'll continue tomorrow. Hope, if you like it.
Yeah. Can I
Okay.
call you on WhatsApp now?
Yeah. Post to the
Okay, I'll
call, you
call
can
you now.
always talk. No
Yeah.
problem. Okay, if you have it, and also on top of this, just the one additional thing, if you have any questions, and a weekend, I know it's a full dump altogether. So in a weekdays, if you want to connect for some time, I'm open for that also. Maybe for 10-15 minutes, you have some doubts to do because you're doing on a weekend, and weekdays you want to give it a try and come back. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I can take you one-to-one, some kind of troubleshooting, or maybe some kind of an explanation, all of that. Okay, with limit to 15 to 30 minutes or so. Yeah.
Do you have a like weekend classes too, or only weekends?
Weekdays also I have. Okay, weekdays also I have, but I'm just not trying to set up a batch. So if it is a weekdays, it's normally 7 a.m. IST to 8:30 IST. Okay, and I did actually mention, if you just Google YouTube, you have my, I think, so this is what my channel. Okay, you can go back to this channel, and this video has everything, and also this is a document which I mentioned. You can fill out and get in contact with me
All right, I will go through.
directly for different courses, all of that stuff. Okay, thanks everyone.
Do you
Have a
offer
good, yeah, sorry.
application packaging, anything like that?
No, so to be frank, I'm not gonna teach you the application packaging, but I'm gonna teach you what is needed for Intune specific. Let's say if I just go and do some kind of application deployment, it needs actually for Windows 10, it actually needs the line of business application, all of this. This actually Win32, if I take it, it actually needs a Intune format. So basically it will ask for a specific Intune Win format. So how to convert, how to package this, I'm going to talk to you, but not the exe2, AMSA, all of that stuff. I'm sorry, my friend, because that's a completely different concept.
Yeah.
Normally, every company will have their own packaging team.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
You all have a great day ahead. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you,
calling
Pat.
in.
You too.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Wait a second. Yeah, bye.
Bye, team.
Bye.